Hey guys, it's December, it's me, and I'm joined back again with my good friend Sketchney, aka Tash.
Hey everybody!
And today we're having a lovely day. So first of all, I'm going to ask Tash, how you doing?
Doing good. Been a bit down today, but me mate Donna took me for KFC and had a good chat with her and that. So yeah,
Ah,
it's been but it's been chilly and it's been freezing and wet here. So
did you meet Colonel Sanders?
no, unfortunately.
What did you have? What chicken did you have?
I had like they do this mighty bucket for one where you get like the like the chicken bits, the boned ones, and then you get two of those. You get two of the hot wings
Yeah.
and two mini fillets with chips. I didn't eat all of it because it's very filling. I bought some of the chicken back and put it in the fridge to eat maybe after the chat and stuff.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and then I've been kind of frustrated with the early Black Friday deals.
Oh, okay, let's hear a bit about your frustrations.
Oh no, just stuff comes up and then you miss out on it or something. It turned out that a couple of hours after I was chatting to you, X-Men Days of Future Past went on sale on DVD. And apparently it went down to $5.99, and I went on to go get it, and of course they've sold out of it. So, but I know you've been really looking at those, haven't you? The deals.
Well, this is the thing, every year since I've been here, anyway, which has been 1 year. The first year I was here, Black Friday week happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, I'm going to experience Black Friday for the first time. This is an iconic dream for someone like me because I can get movies and I might be able to get things like hard drives and whatever.
Yeah.
So last Black Friday was awesome. I watched a lot of movies. I had a lot of fun, and I was buying something like every 2 hours.
Oh
right?
wow, yeah.
Yeah. And I'd get me up at things like 6 a.m. in the morning to win some things and like that. So far this year, it seems like there's nothing that I want to get in the Black Friday thing.
Yeah.
I mean, sales have happened, like Chicago PD for $5, but the like deals have been terrible. Like the first one on there I saw was Despicable Me.
Right, yeah.
I got that
old movie,
an old movie which I got off of there for $7.88 in the past.
Yeah.
And it's now up to $17.99, so they can bring it down to $11.99, so that they can still con people out of more money.
You get this. This is what I hate about general sales. Like they'll be like, oh, this DVD is this much, and I'll be like, hang on, normally it's this much. You've either put the price up, like it's recommended retail price or something. You've put that instead of what you would normally sell it for, and then you're selling it actually for more than what I could have bought it during the general time.
Well, this is the thing. I'm waiting.
And yet normally Black Friday is supposed to be the special extra money off,
Yeah, it's supposed to be like the 80% off deals, and everybody's supposed to run again. I do think though that it's going to happen more on the day.
Yeah.
Black Friday, but why have a Black Friday week if you're not going to have them that great?
Yeah.
I mean, don't go on. Chicago PD at $5 from $20 is a bargain.
Yeah.
But that isn't in the lightning deals. That's in the normal price down thing, which I'm happy about because it means it won't sell out kind of thing.
Yeah.
They don't tell you, but those offers that are in now, they're limited time for like 24 hours, but they don't tell you that. So you go, oh, I'll wait until later.
Yeah.
And then they disappear and you're like, oh, I missed out.
But even then, they sell out really quickly or something. I mean, like I say, over the weekend, they had a really good deal on Fringe, the complete collection on Blu-ray. And I was like, oh, I'll get that. And I put it in my
Basket.
My basket and everything. And I went to check out, and it was like literally in the seconds between me putting it in my basket and clicking to confirm order and that, it was gone.
Oh.
And And then they were like trying to charge me like $74.99 or something. You know, I was like, no, it was supposed to be $24.99 for the completed set.
Well, this is the problem. Another thing I don't like with the deals is if you don't order it right then and then, I think you've got like a 15-minute limit within when it's in your cart. Like, if you don't order it within those 15 minutes, then you lose out.
Yeah.
And so many people lose out and don't do it. It's unbelievable. Last year I was in the car at like 1,000 in a queue to get a movie or something, or a box. I can't remember exactly what it was. And and I was like, I'm not gonna get this. And then all of a sudden it popped up on my screen. I was like, I'm the 1,000th person. Does this mean 1,000 people?
Yeah.
Did go through the? Because as soon as I do, I'll go straight through the cart process.
Yeah.
You know, and even if you can't pay it that time, you've still got the 6 days after that to pay it.
Yeah.
Because you know, if I can't afford it and I'm on it and I know I'm going to have the money in like 4 or 5 days, I put it in the cart and order it and I leave it there because it won't go up.
Yeah. But that's the thing, because, I mean, like you said, because, I mean, you've only been, you know, like in America for that one kind of Black Friday before and that. And that's the thing, is that it didn't used to be a thing in England, and, you know, we heard about it because it was on TV shows and movies and stuff like that. But in England, it's only like in the last couple I mean, last year when it was happened and stuff, but before that, it wasn't a big deal. And that's only really because Asda teamed up with Walmart, you know, like partnered with Walmart and stuff like that. So, or they were already a part of each other, I don't know. But
Asda is a part of the Walmart company.
Yeah, I know that. I wasn't sure if they didn't used to be or not. I couldn't remember.
Asda is technically an American company.
Yeah. But they were the ones that would bring it to the attention of people, if you know what I mean. So.
Yes, I think Black Friday in England's lasted like 3 years now. This year, last year, year before.
Yeah.
And I remember because I got the Universal Monsters collection and Hitman Absolution.
Right. Yeah.
During the sale then, and a couple of other bits. But it's nowhere as good as in England as it is over, and even then, it's really lacking in now. I mean, I've always wanted to go to Target, Best Buy, now, you know, doing Black Friday.
Yeah.
And I watch people's on YouTube, and nobody makes it interesting. Not because I want them to jump out or anything, because there's nothing really there. You're going to go, oh, yeah, I'm going to get that, because you're like, I've seen all this stuff in the bargain bin for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, am I going to go and buy Despicable Me when it's been in the basket in the past for $7.88 for $11? No, of course not. Would I like to go and experience it? Yes. Would I like the crowds? Probably not. So I'm kind of glad I can do it all on Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best place to do it. That's the thing. It's a big deal on Amazon, but like as you said, this lead up week has been a little disappointing with some of the selection.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's mainly like the electronics and stuff like that anyway, but it would be nice if, you know, like some of the games and the movies that come up on Friday are like the big new releases of movies and stuff like that.
Well, it's like
much like the X-Men one.
Yeah. I'd like them to do. I mean, they did Lone Survivor over here for $7.99. But last year you had The Heat, you had, you know, fairly new releases at $9.99 during their weeks.
Yeah.
The week leading up to it. And now it's like you don't get any of that. You just get these really things like, I mean, I keep looking at movie section. They had things like How I Met Your Mum, and that was on sale, but it was $68 instead of $90. And I was like, this would be a normal weekly sale in the gold box thing on Amazon. If it had been $40, it would have been more of a bargain.
Yeah.
Donna Gleed says, hello, guys. Hi, Donna.
Hi, Donna.
So, what I'm saying is basically Black Friday at the moment's a bust. I mean, it's always good to try and get stuff from America if you can, but you need to, if you're going to get stuff from America, because I used to when I was in England, you have to have it in a real big group buy.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing, though. I mean, I'm hoping that something like Black Friday is a good time for me to, if they have the Blu-rays, and it's a good time for me to try and build up my Blu-ray collection, because obviously that's when they'll be much cheaper, hopefully. But at the moment, there's not been much on the Blu-ray front, and like I say, the Fringe thing was the only thing. I mean, even the X-Men thing was DVD. It wasn't.
well, this is the thing, it's like how you said you've got a lot of DVDs, right?
Yeah.
And you haven't got many Blu-rays, and it's because there's a few reasons. One, because you want to get ones that have decent picture, because what's the point in upgrading if they haven't got good picture?
Yeah.
You want good sound. If they haven't got good sound, what's the point of that as well? Because you can still tell it on your TV, even if you haven't got surround sound,
Yeah.
And you want special features. Even though you might never watch them, it adds to the fact that it's worth money,
Oh, I love watching some of the special features. I mean, but normally as well, like the DVDs, I normally get if they do them, I try to get the two disc sets. Because, like you say, it's nice to have. I mean, it's not something that I would think to do to sell my DVDs, but it does add that monetary value in a way.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I agree with you on what you said about the whole DVD Blu-ray thing, but you won't replace the DVDs because that's basically your collection, and the Blu-rays. What I would do, like I said before, if I was you, I would get Blu-rays of shows like Game of Thrones, which need to be on Blu-ray because they're beautiful.
Yeah.
But then I'd stick to, if I wanted to buy like an old movie that wasn't looking good on Blu-ray or even wasn't on Blu-ray, I'd get that cheap for £2-3.
Well, I mean, look, I did a review of Great Escape, one of my favourite movies, and I never realised that the DVD release that I had, what they'd done is they tried to make it widescreen.
Yeah.
But in the process of making it widescreen, they hadn't just put a black bar at the top and bottom, they put black bars at the sides. So I had this frame around and I found that with a lot of the older films that they've then tried upping to widescreen. Some of the, has been upscale and has been awful. And that's the thing with an older movie on Blu-ray, especially much older ones that will never, that they've just literally digitally enhanced or something. They don't look very good still.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just getting the YouTube page up, because some people don't do it in the thing, don't they?
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I get quite frustrated because I'm a
because you're a huge Blu-ray collector and that, so.
Yeah, I am, and I'm completely lost because I should have opened this up before. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry, you were saying about the quality of them.
But anyway, what we were saying. Let me close this bit down. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I should have done it beforehand. My silliness. Basically, what I was saying was, like you were saying about the black bars.
Yeah.
The most annoying thing is, it's like when I watch Batman, the series. There's black bars down the sides.
Yeah.
You're not getting the whole. Even though you're getting the whole picture, you feel like you're not getting the whole picture.
Yeah.
And it's really putting off, like wrestling DVDs, for instance, or Blu-rays, I should say. On the sides, there are things like pillars or the WWE sign down it, and you sit there going, "This really attracts me from the actual video footage."
Yeah, exactly. Our last Avenger has said the Sopranos complete collection is on Blu-ray is going for £60. Very tempted.
Well, I would say that's tempting. I mean, it's normally what, 98?
Yeah, because you bought it, didn't you?
Yeah, I
How
bought
much
it.
was it when you?
It cost me 67.
Right.
And that was because it took the 20% off the VAT because of me being in America.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Oh no. Forget if somebody says something either because it didn't pop up in mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't like the pillar bits like you said because it's very distracting, especially if you've got a picture where it's widescreen and it's got them beside it as well. It's like, oh, I'm looking at a letterbox film, right?
Yeah. Well, like I say, I've got a big TV. I shouldn't then be struggling to see the picture inside my big screen TV. You know, thanks to this black frame.
Well, it's like me. I mean, there's so many shows I put on or films I put on. I'm like, oh no, not in this format because I don't want to watch films like that. I want to watch
Yeah.
them full screen or widescreen the way they're meant to be. I don't want to watch them with things down the sides no matter how old they are because to me it ruins the view of the movie.
Yeah.
Or the TV series of that. I want it to take up the whole screen.
Well, that's the thing, because I know with the X-Files, they've been obviously processing it, and I didn't even know how the process works and stuff. I saw a documentary once about some ABBA footage that had been found that was being... no, not ABBA. It was the JFK assassination.
Oh, nice.
They were talking about, like the original Zabruta film negatives.
Yeah.
They were saying how they were digitally enhancing it because they could put that through this gadget and stuff like that. And then I heard that they were doing X-Files on Blu-ray, and they were saying that they were getting the original negatives from Fox, that they were digging it out of storage and stuff like that to do the Blu-rays.
Yeah.
But the problem is, with a lot of the much, much older films that they're trying to put on Blu-rays, obviously the film stock has probably degraded in quality, or it's been destroyed, and then it's been essentially an upscale from a DVD quality version or something like that, and it doesn't work the same kind of thing.
Well, the problem is a lot of people go on about negatives and the elements that make Blu-rays, and the thing is, I mean, my cousin, when I first started out with my cousin again years ago, he knew all about this stuff and would go on about it continuously when Blu-rays first come out.
Right, yeah.
I used to think what he was talking about was some of the most boring stuff I'd ever heard in my life. Because I was like, I don't care about this, I just care about the movie. As I got older, I'm like, why didn't they use these elements? Why didn't they go to Australia? Why didn't they go to New Zealand? Why didn't they go to England? Because you got to remember, these film negatives, you can get them in different countries.
Yeah.
Right? Big example of that is the Doctor Who episodes about how people find them now in lofts and playing. I mean, someone recently found a VHS of one of the old episodes.
Yeah.
Contacted BBC, and BBC gave him 500,000 quid for it. A VHS that you recorded.
Yeah.
And that basically isn't even a negative, but they still got that because they could upgrade it slightly.
Yeah, but it's like the old comedian game show presenter Bob Monkhouse here in the UK.
I remember Bob Monkhouse.
He was a huge, it turned out, and they didn't realise this, he was a huge hoarder of all the BBC negatives from programmes. He would record, even when video recorders went around, he would record the programmes on the best technology that was available at the time, and he would keep all this stuff in this big room and that. He would keep recordings of the Radio Times and stuff like that. And it was only because his collection was found after he passed away that they were able to recover a lot of BBC shows that were destroyed in the big clear-out that the BBC had back in the 70s.
I remember when Bob Monkhouse died, when they tried to do digital hologram versions of him on TV shows. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Bob Monkhouse, and here we go on our show. And I'm sitting there like, he's dead.
Yeah.
It's a hologram kind of weird CGI thing. Why are they doing this?
Well, thankfully they haven't done that in the new Hunger Games Mockingjay, because Philip Seymour Hoffman, of course, passed away during the making of it. And apparently they haven't, digitally recreated him. They used what they had, and that's it. So...
Well, it's like Paul Walker from the Fast and Furious films. He died, and they used some of the scenes with him in, and the rest of the scenes they're using his brother.
Yeah. Well, of course, they had Oliver Reed, of course, died during Gladiator's making, and they had to use body doubles and CGI kind of...
It's crazy how this stuff happens,
Yeah.
I mean, it must... You look at films and you see all these people that have died halfway through or died during, this big, massive part of their career, and you just sit there going, wow, it just shows that you can't have it if you're not meant to have it. Well,
you had Brandon Lee, what was it, during The Crow? He shot himself with a prop gun. I'm still blown away by Vic Morrow in the Twilight Zone movie.
Yeah.
Of course, that was a big deal. I've seen footage of that, and that has haunted my nightmares forever. With the helicopter being beheaded, and how they still managed to make. You watch that film, and you would not guess that he's actually he died during the making, and that what they have is all that he'd already filmed. It doesn't feel cut down or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't think if somebody, which Hunger Games character?
Philip Seymour Hoffman was the president. I'm not good with I'm gonna have to look that up. I know he's the main president guy.
I've seen the films, but to be honest, I never really noticed him that much.
Yeah.
I'm too busy trying to watch the action.
I'm just gonna quickly look up. I can't remember I've seen the first one. I have not seen the other ones. So.
Oh yeah, because Mockingjay Part 1 just came out.
Yeah, I know. Donna's gone to see it. So Plutarch Heavensby.
That's an interesting name.
Yeah. Plutarch, or whatever. She'll know. Anybody else know him? But yeah, he died. Yeah, sorry.
Well,
anyway.
This is another thing that I don't like about a movie. It's like these book ones.
Yeah.
Ones that turn from books. The last one always seems to be a double parter now.
Oh God, yeah. You got Twilight, you got Harry Potter, it's because they know they can stretch it out and make the money.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, I could understand I could understand with Deathly Hallows because it was a massive story.
Yeah.
But Twilight and Hunger Games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, let's go. I mean, they're making another Harry Potter film, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
What's this? He was head game maker. Snow.
Oh, okay. I don't think this doesn't say Snow on the IMDb, but you should know.
Okay, Donna.
No, President Snow is Donald Sutherland.
Oh.
Plutarch Heavensby is somebody completely different. So.
Well, I've only ever watched the films once.
Yeah.
And the first one anyway. And I got the still books of them because they had them in a sale, like buy them both for $24. And I thought that's a bargain. I'll do that. And to be honest with you, I haven't really watched them in such a long time. What's that? Not President. Some films need 2 parts, including
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Well, they do, but there's a part of me that feels like some films could have just been like one longer film.
Well, look, Hobbit didn't need to be 3 films. I mean, it's a short book. It could have been in 1 film. It could have been 2 at the stretch, but they've made it.
But there's 3 Hobbit books.
Yeah, but they were really short.
Again, I haven't read them. Oh no! I'm in the Twilight Zone. I haven't read any of these. No. I put Snow first, other comment after. I put Snow first, other comment after.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't mind the comment section. Sometimes it gets a bit confusing to us as well.
It gets jumbled, yeah.
Like jumps back and forth, doesn't it? I still think they should have it where you can put new questions come first.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to list them in that way. It's just like, like how they're starred or something like that, or whatever. It's stupid.
Because you can answer them, like click, I'm answering this next. And why? But you don't want to do that because half the time you don't even get a question in that part. So you're like, why would I get rid of it when it might pop up later?
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's see what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about action movies.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to.
Hunger Games kind of covers that, so that's a good.
See, perfect.
Kind of a good lead-in.
So we're going to let you start with a film, and then we'll go on from there.
Well, what favourite action film is your favourite? I mean, because I've had a lot of them to review lately. I've had the Terminator films, I've had RoboCop, and it just we've said it many times before, but Platoon as well. It just blows my mind to see those practical effects with the explosions and stuff, as opposed to something that's just CGI'd on top. There's some of those scenes in Platoon. Yeah. Watching the actual pyrotechnics go off and know that there was real actors running between them and trying to figure out how it would have been filmed to see, the distance between them, the safely, kind of gets your heart pumping more. And that's what I love from action. That's what I tune in for action films, really, is to see.
I think, going with Platoon for the minute, I think it's amazing because when you look at, because that film came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's amazing when you look at these films now and you think, well, they look so much more realistic than what we get now.
Yeah.
And the fact that people, like you said, the fact that somebody could have ran on the wrong part and got their leg blown off.
Yeah.
Is amazing because that was what made the 80s so special when it came to action movies. The miscare, the fact that people had to run between these pyrotechnics, the fact that people had to quickly jump out of the way before something exploded on the set. The fact that it all was slightly timing. Like, for instance, I was watching American Ninja last night, and the guy kicks a bean back, and it misses him like that, and hits just like, if you point like that, like that close.
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder, and I look at him, I wonder if they actually hit him in the face a couple of times.
Yeah, yeah.
So close, but you can imagine it probably did.
Yeah.
Now, that would be a CGI beanbag.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Platoon...
Donna likes George of the Jungle. That's one of her favourite action movies.
Oh, that's got a lot of action in it.
That's the epitome of action.
I actually really like that film.
You know what, I've seen bits of it. I've never actually got the chance to sit down and properly watch it.
It's a good film. It's a funny film.
But again, there's a lot of practical stuff in that. But no, what you say about, I'm getting an echo, with the beanbag, some reactions you see on actors' faces, you can just imagine the outtakes. And that's louder. You can imagine some of the outtakes and stuff like that reacting to, actual stuff happening. And of course, sometimes they use the actual takes when something goes slightly wrong.
Are you getting feedback?
No, it's better now. I'm not getting anything now.
Can
you still hear me though? You're not?
I can hear you. I was just wondering because I thought I might have got my, earphones.
Ah, right.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, what's this? What's your favourite Van Damme film? I love his films. That's done. Now, if I have to answer that one, that one's a very easy but hard one. I've got 3 Van Damme films I absolutely love. The first one on that list would have to be Double Impact. I love that there's 2 Van Dammes in that. I remember watching it with my mum, and my mum going, when he was in the, I think it was in like the spandex thing, she used to go, oh, look at his bum at the beginning. And I always thought that was a great scene because my mum used to draw over that. And then there's Bloodsport, which I absolutely love. I love the music and I love the feel of it. To think that was Van Damme's big, massive, big movie, and that they offered him a 4-deal contract on big budget movies, and he turned it down because he said he wanted more money. So his career kind of slowly went down the toilet more.
Yeah.
Then my most favourite of all time has to be Hard Target with Uncle Duvet. I love Uncle Duvet. I love the music. I love John Woo films. I absolutely love,
He's got such a great style and stuff like that.
So what about you?
You know what? I've not seen many Van Damme films, and you know what? Off the top of my head, I can't even remember what some of them are. That I have seen, because I think the problem is this is something with a lot of action films. Is sometimes if you watch enough of it, I mean, I'm a huge action film fan, so I'm a big action film star apparently.
Well, name some of your movies. Name some of your movies. Because we can watch them. I can see it now. You're running the game.
That's why I really have all these disabilities. It's all my fight scenes and stunts in these movies.
Fall off of buildings and hit on cars and stuff.
Yeah. I'm a huge action films fan, and I've watched so many of them. Sometimes some of them are so generic
Yeah.
they end up bleeding into each other. And I think that's the thing, like, with doing my reviews at the moment, is you do start to see the same tropes in each one. I do like Hard Target. That is a classic. And again, like you say, John Woo is brilliant. And it's not that I don't think Van Damme's a bad actor. But as with, this is something. It's much like you tend to find that actors in some of the big budget action films.
Yeah.
Are not actually good actors, but they're good at what they do.
Yeah.
Say, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, my God, there's just... You wouldn't think... I mean, obviously, he's not an actor. That wasn't what he was initially. He was this model weightlifter and that. But, my God, you watch a film with him in, and you feel that action, pumping and stuff like that,
Well, the thing is, if you watch Arnie when he first got into movies like Hercules in New York,
yeah,
you would never expect him to become the iconic action legend he is now.
Yeah.
Because he seemed very, slow because of being from a different country. You know, and we all say that, don't we? I mean, when you see people from other countries, they sound slow, like they're not going to learn the language properly, and you feel bad for them. And he actually said when he won the bodylifting competition, live on TV, because my mum saw it, he actually said, I'm going to become an actor, and I'm going to become big man. Right? Something like that.
Yeah.
And now look at him. He's like one of the biggest action stars ever.
Yeah.
And... I mean, there's so many films you can name of Arnold Schwarzenegger that made him the big star he is now.
Well, even like saying Terminator. Oh, feedback. And even Last Avenger said, Tash, I highly recommend you watch the Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles. It's better than T3 and Salvation. But if you watch that first Terminator movie, and I will check out the Sarah Connor Chronicles at one point. But, in the first movie, Arnie says barely anything. He says less than 10 words, I think, in that whole movie. But his presence in that is terrifying.
Well, the best line he says is, are you Sarah Connor?
Yeah.
Well, I mean... Oh, what's that? Last Avenger said something else. He said, my favourite Van Damme film is Kickboxer. Tong Po was a cool villain. And Universal Soldier was cool too.
Oh, I've seen Universal Soldier and I think I've seen Kickboxer, but I can't remember. But
Kickboxer is one of those films which is really, really funny. Right?
Yeah.
You've got the little brother Van Damme. You've got the brother who's the kickboxer who basically gets decimated, gets made into a cripple. We've never seen that before or since. Yeah. So, it's one of those things that you always say. But at the time, it was fantastic. Right?
Yeah.
So. Then he becomes trained by this. I think they're supposed to be in Thailand.
Yeah.
But it's like Asian guy you've seen so many films.
Yeah.
He's teaching him, right? And at the end, it turns out his girlfriend gets raped by Tong Po, and you're going, this isn't very fun anymore because the brother getting disabled, you can understand that, but the girlfriend getting raped too. It's like, wow, this is a dark film. But the worst thing they ever did was made 3 more Kickboxer films.
Yeah, I don't even know. There was no basis for that.
and the 4th one was the worst one. They dressed the guy's Tong Po with makeup on, which was falling apart.
Yeah.
And you're like, why are they focusing on Tong Po in nearly every bloody movie? He went from being a Muay Thai kickboxer to being a drug dealer to being the king of an empire of drugs and being a kingpin. You're like, no, this won't happen. Then you like Bloodsport. They made Bloodsport and made that into 4 more movies with a different guy.
Yeah.
They made Universal Soldier, because we had Universal Soldier, The Return. Then we had Universal Soldier Regeneration and Day of Reckoning. But in between that, we had 3 more Universal Soldiers starring Jeff Wincott. But many people don't remember because they only came out on VHS. And they were horrendous. They weren't the greatest films all the time. But what I'm trying to say is they try to make these films into big, big films by carrying on. And Reckoning, I think it was Reckoning, was awful.
Yeah.
And another thing what got me was the first one had Dolph Lundgren in it with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
Right? Since they redid it with Van Damme, they've had Dolph Lundgren in the last two as well. And you're sitting there going, how's he in them when he was bait in the first one?
But you see, again, Dolph Lundgren, not another, great actor kind of thing. Not that I'm putting down what he does, but, he's not somebody... If you were to list, like, genuine, awesome actors, he's not somebody you'd put up on a list kind of thing?
I know I'd put on that list. Steven Seagal, he's the #1 actor of all time.
Well, he used to be.
You know what gets me with him?
Yeah. Ego?
Steven Seagal used to be a real man's man hunk.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I might say that because my mum was quite attracted to him.
Yeah, right.
And in Mark for Death, Nico, it was like, well, this guy looks pretty fit and he looks like he could really do someone in. About 4 years later, he became this really chubby guy. And he looks like he has to use all this spray on his hair to keep it down. It looks like it's basically sewn onto his head.
Yeah. Donna likes Street Fighter. She said, I know it's really sad, but I like Street Fighter.
Now, what one? In the original one, Jean-Claude Van Damme?
She said love both of them.
I will say this: the Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme in, was an absolutely horrendous movie, but it's a lot of fun. If you can get past the fact that it's terrible, in the fact it's supposed to be based on a video game, it's actually quite a good movie. It's got Kylie Minogue in it and all.
Yeah, it's one of those, much like, say, the Mortal Kombat films, considering they're based on fighting games, that you would not think there to be any story that can be kind of pulled from them. They're actually, obviously Mortal Kombat unfortunately kind of cycled out of control with their movies, but Street Fighter itself, it's actually not a bad movie, considering...
I have to disagree with you. I think the Mortal Kombat movies are two of the best movies I've ever seen in my entire life.
Alright.
I think they're the best movies in the world. I think they beat things like The Green Mile. They beat Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Godfather 1 and 2. Not number 3. Because everyone knows number 3 is the best.
No, nobody likes number 3.
But no, seriously, I really, really like the Mortal Kombat films. I think it's because as a kid, I watched them, and to me, they were like a video game to life.
Yeah.
Because unlike Street Fighter, they actually did make it kind of like the tournaments in the game, with them fighting each other. Number 1 is a lot better than number 2. But number 2, Annihilation, does have a real soft spot in my heart. For some reason, I absolutely love that movie.
Yeah.
But let's go back to what you were saying about Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah.
Because we didn't give him enough time.
No.
Dolph Lundgren is one of those men who, or what should I say, one of those action heroes.
Yeah.
Again, he couldn't talk great English either when he started.
No.
Some of his starting roles were in A View to a Kill. I think it was A View to a Kill. And in Rocky 4.
Yeah, Rocky, yeah.
Now, you watch in Rocky 4, he can't barely talk English, but there's this really cool training montage. Rocky 4 is one of my favourite scenes of all time. It's when they play the song No Way Out and show all the flashbacks. I love that scene.
Yeah.
I think number 4 is my favourite Rocky after number 1 or 2. But the thing with Dolph Lundgren is he's really grown through the years.
Yeah, yeah.
But now, just like Van Damme, now Steven Seagal, they're getting old, they're getting wrinkly, they're getting to that point now where you're not going to believe they're action heroes.
Yeah.
And it's getting a bit silly now when you watch them in movies and they're getting off with like a 20-year-old girl.
Yeah. Well, this is a problem with stuff like the Expendables too, They're there to be these testosterone-fueled things, but you end up just watching these old men that look absolutely bored and just getting the cash, money and stuff.
So this is what irritates me, because you've got people like Scott Adkins, who is about 30, nearly 40 now.
Yeah.
And he started off in EastEnders. He was in 6 episodes of EastEnders.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because he's a martial arts superstar. But he gets put in roles where he's under people like Van Damme, under people like Dolph Lundgren. I think he's had a few titles where he's been higher, like, for instance, Ninja 2, Shadow of a Tear.
Yeah.
But he should have broke out a lot bigger and been a lot better. Like, for instance, Expendables 2. He was in that as Van Damme's henchman, when really he should have been in a different film as the main guy because of his skill.
Yeah. They get overshadowed, unfortunately, because of these big names. It doesn't mean there's any, but there's the big name. That's what sells the movie. It doesn't mean that star is a big part of the movie, but, their name is put on it, and then you have people like him carrying, and going back to kind of what you were saying about, like, Steven Seagal, is you think the amount of movies that he's done since he got old, fat, and, I mean, again, he has a stunt double for, I mean, there is so many clips in a lot of those more modern Steven Seagal films. You can clearly see it is not him. And you think of this young, I mean, obviously people get old and stuff like that, but you think of people like, say, Chuck Norris, or that, they're still busting moves at, 70 years old or something, and yet you watch Steven Seagal, and he just can't even be asked because he just gets there, he just sits back, and I've heard really bad stuff about what he's like.
But
you think he was trained, he was martial arts and stuff, and yet it just doesn't get used anymore.
This is the thing. Steven Seagal roughly gets $5 million per film he does.
Yeah.
And apparently he donates it to, like, the Buddhist temple or something, wherever he is.
Yeah.
And he helps them kind of grow. We've got a couple of comments, and then we'll get back to what we're saying. Okay. Yeah. The Van Damme one, that was from Donna.
Yeah.
Dolph is very underwhelmed. I'm guessing that's Dolph.
Yeah.
Cool chat, guys. That's from James. And Highlander was great, but enough overdone in the end.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to Highlander in a minute.
Get to Highlander,
in a minute, because Highlander is one of my favourite series of all time. So, yep. Anyway, so that ending of Souls. Anyway, we'll get back to that later. So Dolph Lundgren, right? You watch him and you're like, oh, this is great action star. Showdown in Tokyo, great film with Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the funniest things in that movie is when he has the sex scene with, what's her name? She was in The Relic, the series.
Oh shit.
Mara or something.
Her? What?
What was her name? It was something. The one who was in The Relic.
I have seen The Relic.
She was also in Wayne's World 1 and 2.
I don't like Wayne's World, so... so I've only seen the first one of that.
I'm trying to think. You know what? I'll just look it up just to make it.
Sorry.
Otherwise, I'll be sitting there going, We don't want to hear me going, through the whole thing. So let's have a look. Oh, yeah, got a new Jurassic Park film coming out, haven't I?
Oh, well, yeah.
But it hasn't got Sam Neill in it, which I think, to be honest with it, means it's going to be terrible.
It's like Jurassic, I can't remember what it's called, but did you see that they, that's it, Jurassic World. But did you see they released this teaser trailer, and it's got the clip from the original movie with the cup, with the taking water. That is their teaser trailer. It's like, let's just watch the same old film.
yeah, I saw that. I was a bit disappointed by its price. The person's name was Tia Carrera.
Oh, Tia Carrera. Yeah, she did that TV series. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, sorry. You get back to what you were saying about her.
We've got 2 comments. Masters of the Universe is my favourite Dolph Lundgren film. That's from Last Avenger.
Yeah.
Kate Britt said, I hope you both well with regards don't miss the 2 of his earliest films, Just Heroes and Heroes Shed No Tears. The first star is one of the best shootouts ever put on film at the climax of the movie, and the second is an excellent war film. Obviously, John, you've seen some of his Asian films, which I'm kind of happy about because I've seen a lot of myself, which shows that you actually know what his real talent is. Sadly, a lot of people that watch the things now, I mean, hard talking that they're fantastic, but they don't show the greatness that he had in Hong Kong. Like Once a Thief, like The Killer, like Hardboiled, like Brain Dead. But that's what I'm saying. So I'll get into Asian movies one day in the future. But
Last Avenger said my favourite Van Damme film is Kickboxer. Tom Cruise was a cool villain. Universal Soldier was cool too. But
James says Dolph Lundgren was awesome in Masters of the Universe. He was.
Yeah.
I like that film. I love how he runs around it practically naked.
Yeah, but He-Man is a very bizarre, creepy thing anyway. To make a movie about it was possibly the campest thing, you know, kind of like Flash in a way, you know. It's Flash
Well, there's
Gordon.
some things that should only stay in like a cartoon or comic book.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, if I'm just really, really weird watching a man run around half naked, and you're like, okay.
But you were talking about Tia Carrera, honestly.
So basically, I'm sure she's in Showdown in Tokyo. I'm positive.
Yeah.
And let's have a quick look just to make sure I'm right, because if I'm not, I will get a lot of flack for it.
Yeah, no, we'll all get like, you don't know nothing.
So let's have a look quickly. She was in True Lies, which was another Schwarzenegger film, which was a great.
Oh,
film.
that's a good one. Yeah.
Okay, where were we? Okay, it was in the 90s. Where are you? Yep, Showdown in Little Tokyo. I was right. 1991 that came out.
Right.
Well, she has a sex with Dolph Lundgren. It's one of the funniest scenes you'll ever watch in your life.
Mm.
Right? And Brandon Lee says something to him like, "Oh, I knew it was going to happen." And then they go after what's his name, who played the bad guy in Mortal Kombat.
Right. Yeah.
And it's one of those films where it's a real good action movie, but it's one of those movies you don't want to watch all the time.
Yeah.
And it's one of those films it's never come out on Blu-ray, which I would like to see on Blu-ray because it's got Brandon Lee in it.
Yeah. That is surprising that hasn't come out on Blu-ray.
Well, let's go on to Highlander now so that we can talk about it. So Highlander 1, the movie. What did you think of it?
I enjoyed it. It wasn't. I was a bit late to it. I've only seen it in the last 10 years, kind of thing. But it wasn't the amazing feat of filmmaking that I'd been led to believe it was. But I really enjoyed it, and of course, Christopher Lambert, you know, the least Scottish person that could have been in that role. But it's really fun, and I think it's an interesting premise and stuff. And it's just really well. I love a lot of the atmosphere in that movie.
Well,
much like kind of Blade Runner-y style in a way.
Well, I think the darkness at the beginning is very cool. You know, when he leaves and they end up in that sword fight, you're like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
And the bit where all the cars start exploding and everything, you're like, wow, this is going to be a bit weird.
Yeah.
And Christopher Lambert, who is extremely weird, you know, I met him at Comic-Con. It's a very weird man.
I met him at Comic-Con.
He told to him and he's like,
He doesn't care if getting paid.
He just pulls these weird faces like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I watched the film and I loved it. I loved the backstory between him and his receptionist. But he saved her as a little girl during the war.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen on film. I love the character of Krogan, the bit where he drives the car with the elderly lady on it and he's like, enjoying the ride? And you're like...
Yeah.
It's pure 80s. It's a pure 80s film. Because it's got all those fantastic, cheesy, stupid moments in it. And like when he visits his friends, I can't remember the guy's name, but they go on about the gathering.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't think I'm going to last. I don't think I'm going to last, kind of. And you're like, but if there's a gathering, shouldn't you both be killing each other?
Yeah.
Because the whole point is that they're supposed to fight each other till there's one left.
Until yeah, exactly.
And the one who's left becomes a human in the end.
Yeah, that's why they have the whole friggin' there can be only one, you know.
But then there's one problem with this whole scenario. If they're supposed to kill each other and one's supposed to become human, yet they can't die, if they're thinking, why would they want to become human?
Yeah, exactly.
So you sit there going, so you want to fight each other, you want to kill each other, because the reward is to become human again. If you become human again, if you fall off a building, you're going to die. If you don't, you're going to live. Yeah,
the logical side of me, I think that was one of the things that bugged me. Like I say, I sat down to watch it, and I'd heard so much good stuff, you know, this is one of the best movies ever and stuff like that, and I was like you say, some of it makes no sense, and some of it is very 80s, classic 80s cheese, and I think that's one of the things generally about action movies is that their high was in the 80s, early 90s, and then since then I think maybe with the inclusion of CGI and stuff like that, they're not the same. They don't feel the same, if you know what I mean. Right. But the 80s was just, I mean, to be fair, as we said, a lot of them are cookie cutter style, copies of each other, but that was the best era for 80s, for action movies.
I absolutely agree with you. I'm going to read a couple of comments so that we can keep ahead, and then we'll get back to the Highlander. So,
the Highlander, yeah.
Donna said, I loved Highlander 1.
Yeah.
So, Save the Kid during the war has now been done in forever. Yep. I'm guessing you mean the TV series. Donna?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And James put, Frank Langella was good as Skeletor 2 in Master of the Universe. That was James.
Right.
And let me have a look quickly on the YouTube page. Let's have a quick look. On the YouTube page, there is 2 minutes ago. Another recommendation, J Chan's City Hunter. Coast-based comedy action film hybrid. It also contains a truly bizarre scene with J Chan. Yep, I've seen that. It's one of my favourite films. I remember watching that on VHS years ago when I was a kid.
Alright.
A great recommendation, Kate Britt. And I do recommend it to you, Tash, if you haven't seen it.
Right. No, I've not seen that one. So.
It's epic. It's so silly and so stupid, but it's a great film. There's a bit in it where they're in this cinema.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get away, and there's like these two massive, like basketball players, and he beats them by doing Bruce Lee's moves from the screen.
Oh right, yeah.
And then they go at the end. J Chan goes something like yeah, and then you hear Bruce Lee go, "You're welcome," like that. It's just really great. How silly it is, because it's not Bruce Lee saying it, because he's obviously dead.
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
It's just a really silly moment.
Just good timing and stuff, yeah.
And like, there's a bit in it where this person can throw like playing cards and kill people and stuff. It's just really over the top and great.
Oh right, yeah.
And it's one more scene. I'm not going to ruin the rest of it because this is just one of those great movies where they send a girl to flirt with a bloke because they want to get past him, this bad guy, and he punches her in the stomach and kicks her back. When the bloke goes up to him, he grabs hold of him and basically pulls out like the bits where his chest is and stuff and his bum, and it's just really funny because he's supposed to say the guy's gay basically, and he's going to do things to the bloke. It's just really funny.
Yeah.
So so Highlander 1 was a good.
Donna said yes to TV show.
Okay, well I haven't seen that TV show. I haven't seen the TV show yet, but I plan to. I normally wait for the season to be over so that I can go straight through it,
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I do think Forever, when I saw the premise of Forever, it looked it looked interesting, but at the same time, it didn't really say much about it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to watching it soon. It's just I really haven't really bothered, only because I like waiting for a few episodes.
Right, yeah.
Because I can't watch that one a week rubbish. One a week just irritates me because I'm like, by the time the week's over, I'm like, yeah, I don't really care about what happened in that story now. As if I'm like, oh, what happened next? I can go, yeah, click it, and I can watch it. I can go, oh, then it sticks with me more in my view. But
yeah.
Anyway, so go back.
Highlander, the sequel.
Go back to Highlander. Number 1 was a great film. It had a lot of fun in it. It was pure 80s, and it had a great bad villain. Plus, it had a great character in it called Heather.
Yeah.
I remember Heather. I remember his love for Heather. She's an old woman. And he's sitting there going, "Oh, Heather, I will never love another woman." Yeah, in the movie, he has sex with another woman. Like, boom. Yeah. Right. Good for you, Connor. Good for you. So we get to number 2, right? Which tries to change the whole story up by making them like people who have come from space.
I hated that so much. That pissed me off. I was just like, hang on, I've just watched this good action film, and now all of a sudden they're from space?
Yeah, it was like they came from space and they were like immortal on Earth. And then you've got Christopher Lambert as an old man. Yeah. These 2 really weird-looking freaky things are working for the guy.
Sean Connery wearing dodgy earrings.
Yeah, and you're just like this. And Sean Connery's playing a Spanish guy, and you're like,
You've got Christopher Lambert, the least Scottish person in the world, and a Scottish person playing the least Spanish person.
Yeah.
You know, just...
And you're like, what? You're like, what's this? And you're like, oh. So they come from space, and they already knew each other. And you're like, okay. And let's see, what else happens? Oh, they can't fight on holy ground. Yeah. But the bloke's sitting there going, I'm going to kill you, Connor. I'm going to kill you. And I'm going to make your life thing. They go into this building, apparently, to help themselves. And they get shot to pieces. You go, oh, well, that's all right, because we're not going to die anyway. Ho, 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 ho.
Yeah.
And you're like, this movie is epically bad.
But do you enjoy it?
You do enjoy it. I remember watching it, and because I watched it after Highlander. Because I remember watching them on VHS.
Ah, right.
And the film was so bad, but at the same time, you just want to see what happened. And I don't know, it's just one of those films where most people try and forget out the movies.
Yeah.
Or it was until the fifth one, which we're going to get to in a minute.
Right, yeah.
So then we go on to number 3, and the highlight of that movie is Mario Van Peebles chewing on a condom. And yes, he thinks a condom is bubblegum, everybody, and that is the highlight of that film.
So whenever you see condoms in future, just think of bubblegum.
That was so funny, but that was so weird as well. Mario Van Peebles is a black guy, yet he's dressing up as a samurai.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is weird. And his 2 henchmen are dressing up as samurai too, and then he kills them both.
See, part of you thinks, oh, it's nice to know that they've not gone with stereotypes, but it would be nice to see something believable. Like, you know, like you say, I mean, they pick the least likely people for certain roles, and you're like, did you know who this actor was before they read for the role?
What's this? Another immortal who saved a kid during the war, and the kid shares in the secret. Nobody had in, though, unfortunately, hated Highlander too. What the F? Totally agree on that one. But yeah, it's just one of those weird movies. It's like, why would they do that? And then there's this guy, this immortal bloke who can do mirages and change so there's multiple of him around.
Yeah.
And then basically Mario Pills kills him and gets that.
Yeah.
But then when Connor kills him, that doesn't happen in anything else.
Yeah. Last Avenger said Highlander was an awesome film. My best scene is in the church with the Kurgan. It's better to burn out that than just fade away.
I like that he's got staples in his neck. From where his neck got cut, but it didn't come off.
Yeah.
Because it almost does, like those when it goes to flashback. He slices it and it goes like, but it doesn't go completely off, which is a bit weird, but anyway.
But you know, 3 was they started to devolve so badly.
Well, I like the idea. I actually like Mario Van Peebles as a Highlander kind of person. You know, I liked it because I thought he was quite good at it. But like there's bits where Connor cuts him through the stomach, and one part of him runs, the other part laughs while it's doing it and stuff.
Yeah. And
you're like, this is getting a bit over the top now.
Yeah.
Can they redeem themselves? Can they? Because this is just awful. Right? But they were awful in a great way. They weren't awful in a bad way. They were awful in the fact that they were terrible, but they were fun at the same time, so you still enjoyed them a lot.
Again, much like we've said with the acting by some people, that's the good thing about action films is sometimes you just watch it for mindless escapism. It's only sometimes when you look at it, and I think that's why sometimes you have to be in the right mood for some of them, because if you start looking at them too deep, you're like, actually, this is blinking stupid, kind of thing. And it's like, but you can still find something enjoyable about them, and no matter how bad 3 is, yes, I didn't even realise there's 5. I didn't even realise there was 2 more, because by 3 I was so like, what?
Well, I always got angry with Endgame.
Yeah.
Endgame irritates me. Now I love Duncan MacLeod, I love Connor MacLeod, but if you ask me who was superior, I'd say Connor, because Connor came first, and Christopher Lambert at one time was my hero in life. I wanted to play just like him, a pure Scotsman. Yes, that was a bit silly now. But anyway, so number 4
No, you've got to have dreams.
Gotta have dreams in life, otherwise we've
Yeah.
got nothing.
Yeah.
So, what was I going to say? So, yeah, Endgame comes along. Right?
Yeah.
Comes on, voila. Connor McLeod is locked up in a weird monk sanctuary. He's got a big beard, and these guys are going to kill him, but he's disappeared from it all of a sudden. Right?
Yeah.
Then we've got Duncan McLeod, who's got this love story with this girl who we've never heard of before. Right? And then you see, but it goes back in time and does all this old stuff again. And you're like, okay, I'll get you in love with her. And then he's like, is she dead? Is she not dead? And at the end you find that she's not dead, I think.
Right.
If I remember correctly. But you've got Donnie Yen in there, who's a massive, massive Asian star. And they don't use him properly.
Yeah.
You know, the same thing happened to him in Blade 2. It wasn't used properly.
No.
And I'm like, So I'm watching Endgame, and you've got this villain who just seems very campy to me and very like, okay, a bit weird. And he's got this interest in this woman who's not got interest in him, and then Connor and Duncan have to fight each other, and it's like, okay, because Connor says one of us has to kill each other because we're not strong enough. And of course, Duncan gets to kill Connor, and that was just like blasphemy in the Highlander world, in my view. Because, Connor came first. Connor was the icon of Highlander. He was what made Highlander what it was to begin with. So to kill him off with the guy who was in the series, which I'm a big fan of anyway.
Yeah, I was going to ask him about that, because I think Endgame was basically an excuse because of, obviously, the series and stuff.
It would be like if Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series, had been killed by nobody from 3 cheap movies that came out. It would just irritate the hell out of people. Or if Mulder and Scully had been shot by 2 and the other one.
The agent out of the game, Agent Wilmore out of the game, can you imagine? She was like somebody nobody knew. I mean, unless you knew the TV series of Highlander, you'd be like, wait, what? This is my champion of this film series, and this guy has just come along and undercut him and stuff like that. How could, he get to that point and then just be taken out like that?
Well, I think they were trying to go for a whole new series of movies, personally.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Because...
Adrian Paul, I don't think.
Adrian Paul, that's it. Because Adrian Paul got tired of doing basically Highlander in its 5th season. That's why the 6th season doesn't have a lot of him in, but it has the woman who would become the Highlander Raven.
They were hoping.
Now, Highlander Raven, the series, was an awful movie, but it had... Is it Paul Johansson? Who was in One Tree Hill? I don't remember his name. But he was in it. And the best part of it. But the Raven storyline was boring because I bought it because I'm being a big Highlander.
Wanted to add it to your collection.
I wanted it to my collection. And it was like, well, this is awful. I didn't mind it, but it didn't have that same power to it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with men have this thing that if men were doing it, how can they make it a woman? It's one of those subconscious things where you're like, the man, there's Duncan, there's Connor. Yeah, right, we're going to believe this white-haired woman's going to be able to do all that they did. This is terrible. Right? It's not a conscious thing, but it's a subconscious thing that happens when the phone rings. But
they're complaining about you bitching about women.
That's the feminist group right now calling me to go, we've taken you to court.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, it's just one of those things I think subconsciously men think when they watch a show like that.
Yeah.
But so then we got...
See? They're not impressed.
So then we get Highlander the Salt, Highlander 5.
Oh.
Do you know,
I have heard about that. I've heard such bad... I've seen reviews of that.
I have not watched it all the way through, but it's got some of the worst scenes in it possible.
Yeah.
It was to end the whole Highlander movie series and TV show, and basically in the end, Adrian Paul, sorry about spoilers guys, but we are talking about Highlander in depth here, or trying to anyway, he becomes human again and he has a child, right?
Yeah.
After beating this guy who looks like he should be one of the winter people out of Game of Thrones. You know, those zombie-looking people.
The White Walkers kind of thing, yeah.
And you're sitting there and you're going like this. You're going, really? Oh, yeah, you know, how did this person who's supposed to be like a Highlander kind of person, immortal, become this ugly-looking creature with like these weird facial structure and that?
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there going, they really lost the plot. It's got so much CGI in it.
Yeah.
Adrian Paul looks like he's on cruise control because by this time he'd given up on the whole lot.
He had no interest whatsoever, yeah.
And what annoys me about that is I get really angry with people like Adrian Paul who did Highlands and they got bigger from it and then they want out like it meant nothing.
Yeah.
Because to this day, when he goes to conventions, Highlander fans go to see him.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, it's like if you put on, it's like X-Files, for instance, because you really love X-Files. So like that, David Duchovny, let's say it goes to Comic Con, let's say it does this. People go, I love you in X-Files. I don't care about X-Files. I'm pretending that's not existing. But that's a big part of your career.
Well, you know, I mean, I don't want to harp on it, but just connecting to that very quickly is, I know back when the X-Files first finished, you know, Gillian Anderson would be in interviews and people would say, oh, you know, is there going to be more X-Files movies and stuff? And she'd get very aggressive and be like, I'm here to promote this, you know, instead of that. And at the time, I mean, it's different now because years have passed since then. And I think she's matured as a result in the same way. But the thing is at the time, it was like, yeah, but you've got to realise you've been in a show you've just finished being in a show for 9 years. People are going to ask you about this big thing that's made you a big star. You know, yes, fine, you want to promote this new thing as well, but you've got to realise, much say like Chris Eccleston in Doctor Who and stuff, you know, who didn't want to be pigeonholed in that, once you're a part of that universe, that's it. You've got a huge base of fans, and that's the thing with Adrian Paul.
The problem is, for people like Chris Eccleston, is, to be honest with you, they're pieces of donkey dung.
Yeah.
Because if you get into Doctor Who, you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like, it's like James Bond. You get into James Bond, you know what you're getting into because it's based on, there's only a certain amount of people that have been that character.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Doctor Who's the same way, right? There's been, what, 12, 13 Doctors altogether?
Yeah, there's 13th now.
Now, that is a very small amount of people.
Yeah. You were always going to be labelled as the 9th Doctor. Yeah. He was always going to be that.
Well, the thing is, if you watch something like Star Trek, right, there's so many different characters in that movie, yet most of them are remembered, even the little people, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen when you're in Doctor Who as the Doctor? Yeah. It's like, think before you do something.
Yeah, exactly.
It could have been massive for his career if he'd have used it the right way.
Yeah, exactly. And it didn't get used that way, and, you know... But that's the thing, like you say, Adrian Paul goes to these conventions, and then it's like, how dare you mention Highlander to me? It's like, but he looks so. I mean, I saw the Spoonie Experiments review of the final one, The Source, and I have never seen somebody get so passionately peeved off with a movie because, like you said, it was just. Adrian Paul was just phoning it in, and I saw clips, and I was just like, wow, that's really bad.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, when I first watched the series was gripping. It was one of those freak of the week things like you get in every single series.
Yeah, we're so used to. I mean, look, Heroes even essentially became X-Men.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, practically, you're right. Do you know, I've never watched Heroes all the way through. I want to get them because they're so cheap now, but I've only ever watched 2 episodes. But, I mean, Smallville did the freak of the week. Natural does it to a degree.
We've got Alphas. We've got Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in a way, you know.
It's all the same thing. Even Arrow has been doing it, you know?
Yeah.
And
Flash as well, you know, as a connecting thing.
Yeah. It's such a thing that's happening all the time. But back then it wasn't so bad because you were kind of just getting new to it and all this stuff.
It wasn't as big on TV. I think because of the effects and stuff, it wasn't always a big deal, you know.
The biggest problem I had with Highlander and the series was the fact that people would try and kill him, and he'd try and teach them, and then he'd let them go on their merrily way, and you'd be like, hold on a minute, They try to kill you. There's a gathering. You're letting them go so they can learn and try and kill you again.
Yeah.
Alright? That's what irritated me about the series. There's a gathering. Yes, you're a good guy, but you need to kill these people because these people are going to be your enemies in the long run. You know?
Well, that is the thing with somebody like Adrian Paul taking on an immortal character. You got to think that's going to be a long ass, unless they decide to, if they stop the show or something like that. That's going to be a long role. You know, you're going to be attached to that role for some time, and that is the thing. It's like, you know, you tune in, and in a way, I mean, I haven't seen the series. I've seen like 1 or 2 episodes, and I wasn't. I think I might have seen later ones because I wasn't impressed.
Yeah.
But that is the thing, is that clearly for, say, the Source, he only came back because of bloody money.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like you say, it's there's something that takes away that kind of predictability, or adds predictability when you go, unless you hear that that the show is ending or something, you're like, oh, well, he's going to be going, you know, there's no real threat because you hear, oh, they're going to try and kill him, and you're like, yeah, but there's more episodes in this series or something.
Well,
and in much like the same way as Nathan Fillion, who's in Castle, he recently said at a convention, you know, there's this big thing, I'm not giving spoilers because obviously the new season hasn't come along yet, but there's this big, it ends with, like, there's a car crash and stuff, but you know, somebody said to him, oh, what's going to happen? You know, was you shocked to learn about this? And he was like, oh, well, I play Castle and the name of the show's Castle, so guess what? I'm set for, you know, it's like, so there's no real, you know, it's that kind of same thing.
But the thing is, that's the problem. That isn't a set thing. I mean, look at Scotland, right?
Yeah.
Mark McManus, Taggart. The show was called Taggart.
Yeah. Right.
He died. It was still called Taggart, yet they still did.
Even after, yeah.
So it's possible. And there are other shows like that, which I can't remember at the moment, but have happened.
Oh, sometimes they change it up, but some people think it's a set thing, if you know what I mean.
The problem is Americans, especially when it comes to movies, they're so stuck in place in TV shows. But if you get rid of one big character, they get so angry.
Yeah.
But it ends up being the same thing, you know. I'm sure when Mulder disappeared, I'm sure that became a big, massive problem for them. And even though it can't be sorted out, it eventually ended up back.
Yeah, but that wasn't interesting. They did a good thing, in a way, in that show. You know, this is a rare opportunity in that season that I'll give praise, is that we knew David Duchovny was coming back. You know, it was this big thing that he was going to be coming back. But then they returned him, but he was dead. And I'm sorry, I should have warned spoilers. But he is alive again. But for me, watching the episode the first time when I saw that he died, I was like, wait, what? And then, you know, they brought him back the following week, kind of thing. But I was just like, and that was an interesting twist because we knew he was coming back, but they wanted to make you just go, stop, you know, and think about it, and you know the. But it was an interesting way to. But sometimes they don't do that, and you know.
I think they should have had Mulder come back, but him be an alien, then have sex with Scully, and then at the end of the last episode, they'll give birth to this green little
alien baby. Yeah.
Like this to the camera, because that would have been such an annoying ending for everybody. But the whole show would have been blacklisted because they'd have been.
You know, it would have been much better than the actual finale we got given. But
I've got a comment here. I've been cleaning my DVD shelves today so I can now record video in front of my collection again now. Okay.
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 Anyway, okay.
Okay. Anyway, that was James. But yeah, you know, it's like series finales. They're so bad, some of them. You never get the greatest finale. I mean, the Sopranos one, for instance, even though I won't say about it, the ending is just so bad. Yet some people say it's a really, really good ending. And I guess if you really look at it from an analytic point of view, because there's all these signs and everything. But when you don't see anything happen, you're just like, yeah, this sucks.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it's even more annoying when they know, you know, that like the writers and that, say like with the X-Files, say like other shows, they know that the end is coming. It's not like one of these series that just gets cuts off after the series and, you know, they don't get renewed kind of thing. When they know what's coming and they still manage to not answer any questions, give any closure and stuff.
This is the thing. The Sopranos, for instance, like I was saying, it was one of those shows which was an incredible hit. It had a massive following. It was one of those amazing shows that still gets compared to shows that come out now, even after it's been finished for nearly 10 years now. All right? Yet it still has that epically bad ending.
Yeah.
And you can say the same for things like Smallville.
Oh, Lost. Oh, Smallville, yeah, that was...
Smallville was ridiculous. A CGI costume.
That was the most awful thing I've ever seen. I mean, it doesn't help that Tom Welling would refuse to get in the costume, but that's so pathetic.
Again, how can you play an iconic character like Superman?
Yeah.
And especially for 10 years, have a massive following, and then refuse to do the one thing that every fan who supported you wants?
But this is why, coming back to, you know, kind of bringing that round, like Adrian Paul, you know, he plays this immortal character in that. And clearly, say for the source, he got invited back, and he must have had so much money because he had no interest in that whatsoever. I don't know why he agreed to it. It just was money, and that makes me sad and that's why, you know, Tom Welling had a good role on Smallville, and yet he was so, you know, he wanted nothing to do with the whole Superman kind of, and it's like, you're in a show, much like we said with Chris Eccleston, you're in a show where people are going to connect you. You are, you know, a strong prequel to the Superman series of films and, you know, it's a nice basis for the comics and stuff like that. And yet you refuse to get in the costume and to have that CGI'd, and it wasn't even very well done. It was just a joke.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the series had lasted 2 or 3 seasons, understandably,
right,
but it lasted 10 series because of the fan base.
Yeah.
And the fact that you just can't reward the people for watching because they want to see that.
Yeah.
But it has to be CGI'd, and then him waving through a window at Lois like this before he flies off. And then finding out that Lionel Luthor is actually alive, it's like, what?
Yeah.
So Lex killing him was nothing.
Yeah. Exactly.
And, you know, and you're just like, so he didn't kill his father then. I didn't do this, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. But the best part about Smallville for me was Lex.
Yeah, he was...
played Lex.
Michael Rosen, yeah, he was amazing.
You could see each episode him get more and more darker and more and more scary, even when he wasn't in the show. And they had him in I think it was one of the episodes of Series 10.
Yeah.
It just was so dark and it was so gloomy without being completely, you know, horrible. It was just there in his face that he'd actually lost the plot. And that he was about to become that evil guy who wanted to become like the president of the United States, the person who wanted to take over the world, the person who wanted to destroy Superman. And I love the relationship.
Sorry.
I love the relationship between him and Clark. How it went from them being really good friends to them falling apart and then becoming slowly but surely arch enemies, basically.
But I love that, like you say, I love that progression of seeing who he was and then how circumstances and you know, these obsessions and stuff like that would slowly drive him into the character we know as the real Lex Luthor, you know, as this hating, you know, evil kind of like you say, that was whereas, you know, Clark, I didn't feel like we had that same kind of progression, especially say in later ones when he got very emo and stuff. I was just like, oh my god.
Well, see, I could say Michael Rosenbaum turning into Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor.
Oh yeah, without question.
You could say Gene Hackman being what Michael Rosenbaum was, but older.
Yeah.
It felt like you could watch that series and then watch that and go, oh yeah, that's Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
You know.
Without question, yeah.
But I loved her. I loved how Michael Rosenbaum basically developed the character of Lex Luthor, because he was such a cool character. Yet he was also such a vulnerable character as well.
Yeah.
You know, you could see the feelings in him, but then as he went further, you could see the feelings going away and him just becoming more emotionless and more a sociopath and more like you could see he was going to try and destroy Clark in the future. You could see it right there. And you knew that he hated him because he wanted everything he had, like his powers. But the one thing I do like about it, most of all, is it showed that even though Clark was an alien, technically, a Superman, right?
Yeah.
But even with all his powers, he still can't completely defeat Lex.
Mm.
And the same with Lex. Even though he has things like Green Kryptonite, he still can't beat Clark. Because in a way, they're very even. They're like a match point, but just can't beat each other.
Well, it's like we've said, like with Joker and Batman. You know, they need each other. You know, they couldn't kill each other because you know, they need each other to have those two opposites kind of thing.
Well, this is it. The Joker and Batman, right? You have the Joker and the Batman. Whenever you say to people, "Oh, what's your favourite character in Batman?" 85% of the time, they're going to say Joker.
Yeah.
Right? Most people forget about the Penguin, Riddler, not because they don't know him, but because the Joker is always at the forefront.
Yeah.
If you watch a movie, most of the time the Joker's been in one of them.
Yeah.
You know, Batman Beyond the movie, that had the Joker in it. Batman, the 1989 movie, I think it was 89, was it?
Yeah, 89.
That had Jack Nicholson in it as the Joker. The Dark Knight had the Joker in it.
Or even the Arkham games, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City.
They're all Joker.
Yeah.
Even Arkham Origins has the Joker in it.
I've not played Arkham Origins yet, but
you know, even though they have all these other characters like Bane and Poison Ivy and the Riddler, they all focus on the Joker.
Yeah.
You know, and to be honest with you, it's amazing that you can focus on somebody who hasn't really got an official backstory.
No. Yeah.
Because the Joker could be anybody.
Yeah.
And depending on what you watch and how you watch it, you don't know exactly what even happened to him.
No. I mean, they tried adding little bits in say, Dark Knight, but even then you're still like, I'm not clear. And it's nice in a way because we get force-fed this whole parents being killed and stuff like that being the cause of the Dark Avenger and all that stuff. But it's nice to have some mystery and not have to have the same old tired story of, you know.
Well, that's why I think we like the Joker, because he is mysterious. He's got no real reason to why he's doing things. There's all these different comic book stories of how he could have happened. He was a loser who ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was a gangster. He was this. Who knows? The point is that the fact that they did that was probably one of the greatest things they ever did in the whole comic book world. Because if someone doesn't have a backstory and they're unique enough and they're great enough, they can become even bigger than Batman. And I think the Joker is.
You know what? I think that's part of the appeal of Daryl in The Walking Dead. You know, there's this whole ongoing joke about, you know, they're trying to now, they want to, people keep saying, is he gay and stuff like that, because obviously he's not made moves with Carol. I just started watching the start of season 4 with my mate Jane because I've been taking her through the seasons. And there's the bit at the start when they're out, and one of the characters who's just joined their group, he's like, oh, what did Daryl used to be before this all happened? And you still do not know the answer to that. And there is that element of mystery, you know, and I think that makes you want to, everybody else, we know something about their past. The only thing we know about Daryl's past is that he was beaten by his father and, you know, there was this strange stuff with his brother. But that's it. We don't know anything else about him. And I think that is that kind of same Joker, you know, thing.
Well, I like Daryl in the series. I don't feel he should be written in a comic because it's completely different, you know, kind of universe.
He's not even in the comic, is it?
It's the same universe, but it's different. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do like Daryl, and I did like Meryl.
Yeah.
You know, I think Meryl was actually my favourite character with his whole racist abuse and all this other stuff, because he brought out realism to the character.
Yeah.
Daryl kind of went from that, you know, I need to look for my brother and all this stuff.
Yeah, that redneck kind of, yeah.
So I need to look after my group, the family now with Rick and Shane, and Shane obviously being gone.
Yeah.
And Daryl was kind of over the time showing a lot of feelings, like for the baby and stuff.
Yeah.
And being a real interesting character to follow.
Yeah.
But
that kind of soft part, but then tough at the same time, you know. Kind of.
I want them to make him gay, not because I want to ruin the character, because I think it would be a great story. Because most times when you get people who are apparently gay in TV shows now, they're not really, really manly people.
No, they're still stereotypical, even though as far as we've gotten with the whole equality and well, not even equality, but understanding and that, there's still this campness or overbutchness, you know.
I mean, the fact that if Daryl was gay, it would make a very, very man's man kind of gay bloke. And the fact that he does all this stuff and that, and you don't get to see that a lot, you know. And I think it would be a great change and a great story to make. He doesn't have to kiss men or be in a relationship with anyone.
No.
But you could just make it where he's not interested in women because he's homosexual. Yeah. That won't be a problem. It'd just be a unique thing to do in the series.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I completely agree. I have to say, I am one of these people that sits there and goes, "Will you kiss Carol already?" But I will say, I do completely agree. It would be not. It would be a nice twist, but at the same time, I don't want it to be because everybody keeps just making this assumption just because he hasn't slept with every character on the show yet. You know, it's that kind of thing where you're like, everybody doesn't have to sleep with each other, you know, kind of thing. And that is such a big staple of so many films and TVs that have an ensemble cast. It is nice to see that not everybody is just shacking up with each other, kind of.
The problem I have with shows like Smallville and stuff like that. Every girl fancies the lead. Every girl wants to give it. It's like One Tree Hill. Other than Haley, he gets off with Brooke, gets off with Peyton, gets off with all these other people. And you're sitting there going, why does this have to matter in a TV show? Why does this, especially in something like Walking Dead, they haven't got any condoms or that because they'd all be gone by now because they're rotted.
They're all out of date, yeah.
So why would you have sex with someone, possibly get pregnant, possibly be slower because of that, possibly have to raise a baby in a situation where you'd constantly be paranoid about zombies and other people? You wouldn't. You wouldn't be crazy enough to do it. Maybe that's why Daryl hasn't done it, because he doesn't want to end up in that situation with Rixie.
Yeah.
You know, in reality, because they've escaped the prison, haven't they?
Yeah, they've left the prison.
And in reality, in the comics, if this is a spoiler, I apologise. In the comics, the only people that survived the prison are Rick, Carl, and the baby.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So technically, I guess you can now say that the TV show has absolutely nothing to do with the comics.
It's essentially an alternate reality now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I actually say that there can't be anything in there which is as similar because nearly every character's dead in the comics.
Yeah.
Do I think that the series is better because the Peel's still alive? Yeah, I do, because you can't have a series about Peel talk to. And when Peel grow reactions to Peel like Daryl and prefer him over Rick to per se, you can't get rid of them. But at the same time, the fact that people keep going on that they want Daryl in the comics, to me, is wrong.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a character that you made up in the series in the comic if the comic already existed, because it totally ruins where the comic came from. That's why Robert Kirkman has completely said he will never do it.
No, exactly.
Because that way you're connecting it to the show, not the show to that.
Yeah.
And that
so I'm curious, out of kind of in a connecting way and kind of sticking with the theme, what are your thoughts on, they've just announced that, you know, like the Flash movie is obviously going to have like a different actor to Grant Gustin, who's in the TV series. And unfortunately they made the announcement on like after the second episode of the TV show, which was, you know, Stephen Amell, who plays Arrow, is a bit like, that's not fair to do that when the series has just started.
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on, like having, I mean, I agree with some level about needing to, because obviously a TV series, where that goes over a period of years is different to how a movie progresses. But what do you feel about having the two separate universes in a way?
Oh, you mean like having the two set universes at the same time in the same kind of...
Having two different actors playing the same character, kind of thing.
What I heard was that wasn't going to happen. What I heard was they were going to make it a different Flash. Because what a lot of people seem to forget about heroes is there isn't just one.
Yeah.
If you look at Batman over the years, there are 4 or 5 different Batman people.
Yeah.
Same as Spider-Man, same as Flash, same as Arrow. Like Green Lantern, there's more than just Hal Jordan. There's other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I heard when I originally heard about the movie was it was going to be on a completely different character who was the Flash.
All right, so different, like not Barry Allen. Or was it a different version of the
like
Flash?
Bart Gunn or something.
Yeah. Oh really? Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know. I wasn't clear on if it was Barry Allen or one of the other incarnations. So.
I think it was going to be like Bart or something.
Right. Yeah.
But you know,
that wouldn't be so bad then. That wouldn't be so bad. But.
See, the thing that gets me is if they did make it the same character, it would be a bit silly because it's like, hold on a minute, we can't relate to this character because we relate to the one in the series.
Yeah.
So they need to make it a different generation Flash, but make it where it's still good, but maybe have kind of like a connection to the series in a way.
See, that's why I liked with Smallville when they always had connections to the other incarnations. They always had, you had Christopher Reeve, you had Dean Cain, you had Terry Hutchinson and stuff, making those cameos.
You had Terrence Stamp who played Zod in Man playing Jor-El. You know, this is what you want in a series. When you want a series of a classic thing like Superman, you want kind of little bits there that kind of connect it and make people
recognition of everything else.
No physical, but you want the geeks and the nerds like us want to see those things and go, oh, I just noticed. It's like somebody made an X-Files series. You'd want
to see Terry. Is it Terry? Am I getting it wrong? Is it Terry Hatcher? Not the one who played Lois in New Adventures. I can never get her name.
Terry Hatcher.
Hatcher, that's it. I knew it was Terry I couldn't remember her name. To see Terry Hatcher play Lois Lane's mum in Smallville was a complete geekgasm. It was just really bizarre, but at the same time, it was the most epic thing ever.
It was.
But to then, I mean, we've had it with that is the thing, because like Superman Returns was made at the time that Smallville was on and stuff. And it made me sad that there was no Tom Welling in it. It was Brandon Routh, which is now fun to see Brandon Routh in Arrow, but he's not playing Superman. But it's it's nice to see that kind of lead-on kind of thing. I agree that they need to have, as they've said as well, like because of aging and stuff like that, people get connected to different ones. But I mean, if it is Bart in the Flash one, then that's not so bad because it's a different character. But I mean, if they're doing an Arrow one and stuff and they have Oliver, then you're going to immediately be drawing comparisons and correlation with the TV version if it's released at the same time that the show's on.
This was the thing, a lot of people when Smallville was on was going, if there's a movie, it should have Tom Welling in it.
Yeah.
But the problem was that is in Smallville, he wasn't officially Superman. He was Clark Kent on his way to being Superman, or Kal-El on his way to be Superman, if you want to be exact. Still learning, still getting to know what to do, like flying, which he did rarely, which I always got annoyed with. Things like that. But that makes sense. He couldn't have done that because he was learning.
Yeah, he was younger and it was,
If you had an Arrow film, surely you'd have to have Stephen Amell in it because he is Green Arrow.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they could change up like the Flash one if they do the Flash one thing. But I honestly believe that if they do, they should have him in the movie just because it's different. He's already that character. It's like they made the Spider-Man series, which they did in the 70s, and he was in the movies as well, the same bloke.
Yeah, well, the same with the Incredible Hulk. You know, having yeah.
I need to get that series. I love that series. Do you know? People always say to me, "Why do you like this?" I go, because the Hulk wasn't CGI'd. It was Lou Ferrigno or whatever.
Yeah, Lou Ferrigno. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it looks silly to see this big guy in green paint, but at the same time, you know, coming back to the CGI thing, is I'd rather see somebody, you know, smashing the crap out of somebody practically than having some CGI'd, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the.
I love Mark Ruffalo's in the Avengers. Don't get me wrong, but.
What's this? Donna Glade says Daryl should be with Carol. She has a past and he is being gentle, and that's what she needed.
Yeah.
What's this? Gotham is showing the Penguin backstory.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that. You've not seen Gotham yet, have you?
No, I haven't seen any of that yet. Actually, it's not about I don't want to. It's just about getting the time to getting around to these shows.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Because there was a time when you'd get one superhero or two superhero shows on. They've got like 6. I mean, Constantine technically is classified as one.
Hmm.
So it's like, wow, there's all these ones. I mean, I want to watch the old 70s Spider-Man again, because I always say he's the best Spider-Man because he stands on the roof going like this. With these real bog-eyed bits on his eyes. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
And when he climbs up the wall, you can see, but he's kind of hanging on something.
Yeah.
It's so bad, but it's bad in that epic way where you're like, this is
it's like, you know, like we love the 60s Batman, and you know they're just walking along a floor and pretending to walk up a wall, but
you can see it because the thing hangs down. You can see it.
Yeah, exactly.
The best part about Batman when they were at war was when the windows opened and you saw a 60s celebrity.
Yeah.
Pop their head out like this. That was one of the best parts about the show, because the show is so big, but you wanted big stars.
The cameo, yeah.
You know, and as much as people go, oh, you know, it's stupid, it's campy, I still think it's one of the best series ever to grace the television screen.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, who thought that was going to come out on DVD and Blu-ray?
Oh yeah, I mean, look. You showed off your box with the button and stuff. You got to show that off again if you've got it to hand.
It's always there. There's the button.
Have you been watching any of the episodes?
Nope. I'll tell you
that's the button on the side there.
There's the button on the side. There we go. Look. Anyway, I need to stop geeking out there over that.
Copyright claimed. But
actually,
that is
copyright actually.
That is the thing, though. You know, coming back to about whether they have actors from the TV series, is because I did see something on the internet where they were debating whether they would try and do something like like the Infinite Earths kind of thing, where they would have the two versions meeting. And they said the problem is with that is the casual viewer is not going to understand all this parallel, different things and stuff like that. So they couldn't do it. And I completely agree with that, but it would be nice to have, say, Stephen Amell or Grant Gustin or whatever being actually inside. Because I feel in a way it's like shafting the person who's carrying, essentially, is still keeping that character name alive on TV. And it's because probably people, a lot of the time, it might be because people have tuned in for a TV show that like, wow, this is a really cool character, let's go see the movie.
Yeah.
And then it's somebody completely different.
And that's what they're hoping for.
Yeah.
Because The Flash on its own, I don't think would get that many views. Not because I don't think there'd be millions and millions of people that like it, but it would obviously get more and more if people watch the TV show. Because you always get these people, and it irritates the hell out of me when they go, oh, I'm a big fan of this, I'm a big fan of that. And go, oh, yeah? When did you start watching? Oh, I started watching it last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's like wrestling, for instance. I'm not getting into this, but I'm just going to state a fact. I watched wrestling since 1990, I would say 1 or 2, alright?
Right.
When people go, oh, I started watching wrestling in 2010, I'm a massive star, massive fan of it, I'm like, yeah, you're not that big of a fan because you haven't been really watching it that long, have you?
Yeah.
There's so much they miss, yet they go on about and they go on about wrong, but you're just like, oh my word,
Well,
you
that's
know.
the thing. I've watched X-Files since the beginning, and you know, I watched the whole series, and then I've watched it obviously numerous times since, and that, and you get these people just go, oh, you know, especially like when the movies, say the new movie came out and stuff, and they're like, oh, I've been a big fan, and you're like, and how long have you been a fan? Oh, you know, I'm 13 years old and I'm a huge fan, and you're like, yeah, you didn't go through all the hype and all the, you know, stuff that we went through as, you know, growing up with it and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that people that are new to a show can't be big, but compared to the veterans, it's not, you know.
We've got a question. Malcolm, which Hulk movie is your favourite? Mine's the one with Thor.
Oh, the one before was classic.
That was really good. If I had to go properly, I'd probably have to go the Death of the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
The 70s one. It was 70s, wasn't it?
Yeah, 70s, yeah.
I'd have to go that
Well,
one
about
because
77, 78, I think.
I don't think anyone could ever beat the original one in my view. Not even if it has another hero in it, because I don't know. I've got a soft spot for the 70s version, like I do for the Spider-Man,
Yeah.
because to me that's special.
Yeah.
Now it's like the 90s animated Spider-Man. I have a big special feeling for that. I watch that constantly.
Yeah.
The new Spider-Mans, I can't.
Yeah.
Because they haven't got that same feel to me. They're not retro, I guess. They're not got that. It's like how the old series has drawn characters. Now, that CGI kind of drawn one, which ruins it, makes the faces weird. So I
Yeah.
can't. But going back
No.
to what we were saying, unless you want to say something.
No, I was going to say completely. It's like I have the love of the classic Batman. That's what I grew up with, and I think, you know, although obviously but that also felt truer to the comics because it was like the comic books, you know, especially of that time. But that's the thing with even the Incredible Hulk. I mean, the Thor in that movie was truer to the comic book version of Thor than say what we have now, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, the old series, I always liked how Batman was completely covered, but they made Robin wear these really tight green shorts and run around with a cape on and everything, and it looked so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, was there something going on there behind the scenes, you know?
Yeah, there's something, yeah.
But going back to what you said, that's what irritates me about people. Like, we have so many interests as geeks and nerds around the world, whatever you want to call us, experience, fun, whatever. When somebody, because I always feel like there's that sheep factor where people have to get involved in something so they feel like they can. And that's one of the things that irritates me the most. If you recommend something to you, sure, good for you. Good that you like it, good that you're part of it, right?
Yeah.
When people start going on about knowledge and they start going on about they watch things like us and wrestling, like me, ever since as I've got older, I've watched wrestling from the 80s. I watched it from the 70s because I've got to that point now where I can watch that stuff because I want a deeper knowledge, right?
Yeah.
People now say, oh, I'm a big wrestling fan. They watch what's on TV every week. They don't watch anything else. So you sit there going, so have you bought the DVDs from like the 90s shows? No, because I didn't really like it, but I've heard a lot about the Attitude Era, and you're like, yeah, the Attitude Era happened at the time.
Yeah.
People go on about it now because they're stuck in the past on it, and I understand that because it was a great time. But just because you've heard about the Attitude Era, that doesn't mean that you actually care about it. It means that you're following what people have said.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You know, tell me a match you really, really like. Okay, I like that Sting turned up yesterday, Sunday on Survivor Series. Okay, but what else can you tell me about Sting's career? He was in TNA. Before that, WCW. Before that, what was his first match? Who was his tag team partner? And you're like, well, then don't go on about it then, because you just get so frustrated with it. You know what I mean?
That's not, no, I completely, it's like, you know, I don't know, and I grew up with, the WWF was on TV as I was growing up, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But But the thing is, I got to know names. I got to know like Hulk, and I was going to come back to that later. But I got to know some of those characters, but I wouldn't then go, oh, I know this match, I know that match. I know where a lot of these performances come from and stuff like that. And not meaning to come back to the X-Files, but I had this when I showed my good friend Jane. I introduced her to the X-Files, and she was sat there and she was like, "Oh, David Duchovny's dreaming. Oh, I want him to marry me. This, that, and the other." And I'm like, "They're first."
Yeah.
It's like I grew up with this. I grew up with all the other people being hyped and stuff like that. And it's a kind of thing where you're just sat there going, yeah, some of us actually lived through this. You're seeing it now and thinking, oh, this is awesome and stuff like that. But actually, some of us went through week after week. Watching the episodes back to back is not the same as waiting week after week and then having a 6 month to a year wait before the BBC put the next episode on, the new series on.
When it comes to it, I mean, when I was an X-Files fan, watched it, when you'd go in shops, you'd see the magazines, you'd see all the hype going on. And that's an amazing feeling. And you really want to get the best you can in it. But when it's out on, and what people forget is back then, DVDs weren't really out then either, when it first started.
Well, as I've said, X-Files was the first TV show on DVD released.
Yeah, and neither was, the internet wasn't that big then either, so you couldn't just watch them online.
Yeah.
So, when you saw them when you saw that they were coming on, you were like, I can't miss this, because I remember that with Buffy.
Yeah.
I used to watch every week, and they moved it to they had it on Channel 2.
Yeah, BBC Two was the worst. They had it that was exactly the same for both, because X-Files bounced between BBC One and BBC Two, but Buffy was on at like 6 o'clock in the evening, and of course it got quite cut because of the watershed stuff and all that stuff. And I didn't mean to interrupt, sorry, but
that's all right. I mean, I remember watching on there and seeing it on Sky One.
Yeah.
And I remember watching Buffy, and every week I'd be like, I've got to see this, I've got to see this. I've got to see what happens next. And I was like a big Buffy fan. And then when I found out Angel was out, I was like, I'm a big Angel fan. And I was watching them both religiously, like you were with X-Files. So the magazines in the shop.
I watched Buffy religiously. I missed the first couple of seasons because I thought it was all about vampires and stuff like that. But then I caught an episode one evening, and I was like, wow, this is about so much more. I think I started watching the end of season 2 and then, watched religiously from then. So, but you saw it from the beginning, I bet.
James puts, okay, this has been fun. See you soon. Take care for now. Bye, James.
Night, James.
So, yeah, basically what I'm saying is I saw the magazines. I saw the comics in the stores. I saw, like, what's going to happen? Is Buffy going to live? Is Buffy going to think Buffy dies on the cover? And you'd be like...
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, my word, I've got to read this magazine. I've got to find out everything I know. Oh, I've got to have this weird pendant thing, which is on the magazine. Oh, this is great. I can't believe this. And now I sit there and I go to myself now, that was a great, great time.
Yeah.
But one thing about it, I was such a geek.
Yeah.
Well,
I loved it. I did all that with X-Files and Buffy and stuff, and I still didn't accept that I was a geek or that I was a sci-fi fan. It's like...
But what people forget is when you do that, it's some of the best times of your life.
Oh God, I have such great nostalgia. Like you say, the magazines or going on the forums on the internet back before the internet was a big thing.
When I was a kid, when it came to wrestling, most of the time, because I was young, what would happen was there'd be VHS stalls.
Yeah.
And on the if there was a wrestling video on that VHS stall, I used to practically scream.
Yeah.
I used to basically jump up and down, go, I've got to get this, Mum. I've got to get this, Dad. I've got to get. And I'd be running around the store with it like this. Because I was scared someone else was going to take it, right?
Yeah.
And if my mum said we can't afford it, I'd be like, because I was like, I'm going to lose it,
Yeah.
And some of those times were so beautiful. MVC, a classic store that was in England that went out of business, which was just like HMV and Virgin.
Our price. Yeah.
I remember going in there one day and they had this whole side of their shop, which was all wrestling, right like that, the whole corner.
Yeah.
And my mum said to me, you can buy 3. I sat there for 4 hours trying to pick what I wanted. 4 hours. You had to go around the whole town twice.
Yeah.
for me to figure out what 3 I wanted. And it was such a beautiful time. It was incredible because those times don't happen anymore. Those times.
Everything's so now, instant, must have it now, you know. I mean, even on Sky, you know, they'll show a TV show and then they'll go, to catch the next episode, go on Sky on demand. It's like,
that's the thing.
You know, what happened to wait a week, you know?
Yeah, it's like ninja movies. When I was a kid, I used to look for ninja movies all the time on VHS. Right? Yeah. And if I saw one, I'd have the same reaction as the rest of them. If I did a new ninja film with a different time, if it was the same movie, but I didn't realise it at the time, was such a great find that I'd be like, we need to buy this, skip everything else, go home, I need to watch it right now. Right? Yeah. I found a gold bullion and it's worth £1 million. I can put it in my plan, I can watch it forever. And that was an incredible thing to happen. Now, like you said, now online I can go, you know what, I fancy Ninja Phantom Force, eBay. Oh, look, there it is. Okay, I'll buy that, it'll be in 4 or 5 days. It doesn't matter anymore. It's not something that I can... Why have I got so many movies? Because I can just pick them up now. Back in the past, I maybe, you know, when I was a kid, maybe about 200-300 VHSs because I was looking for them. It took longer. Now, I can go, well, you know what, I fancy watching Mirrors and Mirrors 2. I'll buy them for $4.99 each online. They'll be here in 2-3 days. I don't have to buy a Batman set. I should have had to go to the store to buy it. It would have been a lot more fun. But
you don't have stores now.
But no, I can buy it online and I can have it the same day it's released. As great as that is and as happy as I am, it's bloody boring.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you remember back when, you know, a movie was at the cinema and you'd have to wait a whole year for it to come out on VHS.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that so clearly. I mean, I remember when Scream 3 came out. What's this? Last Avenger report, surprised you like certain Spider-Man movies, Malcolm. Me, I thought they were awful. For this Spider-Man right, you need to do it with special effects CGI. See, I don't agree with that. I think you're right to a degree, but I think if you want pure cinema, you have to do it another way. Because CGI takes away from pure cinema. Look at what we got on
about Platoon at the start. You know, it takes you so out of it.
You know, do I think the new Spider-Mans are better in a lot of cases? Yeah, I do. They've got better stories and so forth. But they're not as pure cinema as the 70s, because the 70s is a time that people like to diss, but it's better.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I don't like the new Amazing Superman films much, but I did enjoy the trilogy of the Tobey Maguire ones.
Okay, so go on, carry on. Sorry.
No, I was just basically agreeing with you that, you know, I like them, but then there is a charm to the original stuff, you know, with no CGI.
I was going to say, what did you say just now before that? Because I didn't hear it clearly.
Oh, sorry, I said I didn't like the Amazing Superman as much.
No, not that. No, not that.
Oh, sorry.
The bit about the being able to buy stuff and that.
Oh, yeah, no, that was what. Yeah, sorry. So you had the waiting a year to buy VHSs and stuff like that, and you know, people look at you now and go, "Oh, I feel sad for you" and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, but as bad as it was, at the same time, it taught us so much patience, you know, like to wait for stuff and that. But that's the thing. I mean, you probably had it with like Buffy and that, but the X-Files, oh my goodness, when you had a to be continued at the end of a 2-parter, that was the worst torture ever. I mean, I have never hated some of those storylines. I have never hated 3 words more. But now they don't mean anything because it's just like, check out the next episode, and it's like.
This is what I mean. I remember when Scream 3 was shown, you know, like the pavilion thing about it was going to be on.
Oh yeah.
I remember Mum would watch Scream 1 and 2, pre-owned on VHS. Actually, we bought number 2 on the store for £4. Loved it so much. My mum paid £20 for on VHS. Now, what a mug now when you can buy the set on Blu-ray for bloody But
at the time,
what about rental stores when you could go in and you could buy a rental before it was even released on VHS? It was like, oh, wow. But anyway, before getting to that, what I'm going to say is the thing about you said about the year thing.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about Scream 3 being on. It was like, I can't remember what day. Let's say May 3rd or whatever. Right? I know it wasn't, but let's say it was. I was like, my mum, well, we'll wait for it to come out. Okay. 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. And back then, you didn't really know when they were actually coming out. It's out on TV.
No, there was no, no internet of that.
There was a very tiny time when you would hear it on TV, but you wouldn't, because it'd be like, you'd see like the cover with all these others, but in like an Argus advert or something. Not something like, oh, this movie's coming out, you've got to buy it, kind of thing.
And it was rarely at a date. It was always coming soon, and it'd be like in your mum's catalogues and stuff like that, you know. Christmas pies, you know.
I remember it came out in this really cheap cardboardy case. It wasn't a plastic one, it was one of those, you know those ones you opened up and it just
the slip ones. Oh, the cardboard, yeah.
And they were so horrible. And when you think Americans had those cheap cardboard slip ones, but you just slip the things in.
Oh, yeah, I hate those, yeah.
I just sit there like, wow. And I remember getting it, and I remember thinking afterwards, well, this movie wasn't worth wait. But what people forget is the hype. People say hype surrounds the movie. Well, if you didn't see it in the cinema, or you did and you wanted to own it, the hype was incredible.
It was such an amazing thing. You know, like when they would go, coming out on VHS, you know, this time, you know, on a certain date, and you would be so hyped because you hadn't seen it for however long.
And another thing people don't remember now is that old narrator on the videos. That made it so much better.
Yeah.
You know, the trailers now are nothing compared to them.
No.
Like this, young Sally didn't realise her brother was trying to kill their mother.
Yeah.
Will Sally find out? Will the mother survive? The brother is also sleeping with the maid and he's brainwashed her too. And it was so great to have that narrative, you know. Yeah. And you had this, like, howling me went like this. And you get a fur call absolutely free and stuff like that. It was just amazing.
You don't get that now. All you have is like that Inception blah and clips, and that's it. There's no narration. There's no, you know, like you say. I love that, and that's why I love like the Screen Junkies' honest trailers, because it makes you so nostalgic for that time when they were like in a world where, you know, this, that, and the other.
Yeah. And that's why people like those trailers.
Yeah.
Because it reminds you of those times where you had. Sure, it's a comedy version, but it's still close to it.
But it still makes you nostalgic for that time where, you know, they would tell you all that happened in this movie, you know, this man had to fight for, you know.
If you're watching the last SLF one, remember, it's only a movie. Young Sally and Annie went out for a walk. They tried to get high, but instead they met 4 criminals. Those criminals turned up at their mother's house, and you're like, you say the whole film in this whole trailer.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're giving mini reviews on the trailer.
Well, you had a proper understanding as well. Again, we didn't have the internet, so we didn't have like summaries of the movies. You know, we didn't have IMDb and that. So you had essentially this trailer telling you. But they were a lot less spoilery than they are now. Now trailers have so many spoilers in them. When you see the stuff in the movie, you're just like, oh, so that is what that was.
The thing in most trailers,
they could tell the stories, you know, but you would have an idea of what you were going to go see, you know.
Well, most of the stories now, like you said, they tell you the ending in the trailer. If you watch the ending, if you watch the trailer, you watch any film, you see the ending in the trailer. 90% of the time. And normally it's the bit when they're escaping, like jumping out the window or something. And you just sit there going, if I'd have known, I wouldn't have even had to come and see this movie.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, my goodness, if you saw, like, you know, kind of covering a lot of, you know, the main kind of action film thing, if you saw a trailer now, and I think that's why, you know, I said before that, you know, action movies are different now, one, because of the CGI and different elements anyway. But because of the way the trailers are portrayed, if you had watched a trailer back then, like, say, we have it now, say for Die Hard or Lethal Weapon, without that, you know, that narrator going, you know, this is the cop, this is this, that, and the other. If you had the trailers that we have now for those, you would be so spoilt by all those action scenes.
Yeah.
You would go, what is the point of watching this movie?
You would. And, you know, plus a lot of people forget the grime.
Yeah.
When you watched an old VHS, the way the video was made the film and the movie a little bit more special.
Yeah.
as much as I love Blu-ray, because I'm a big Blu-ray fanatic and a HD fanatic, as much as I love it, there's a lot of films that get ruined by it, and there's a lot of films, especially old grindhouse kind of horror films. They're totally dead because they haven't got that darkness to it anymore because the VHS or the film has been cleaned up and it's been put on Blu-ray. So you see things more. So what's scary isn't scary anymore.
No, well, I think that was why when I watched, because I watched Terminator Salvation on Blu-ray, the effects, you know, everything was so much clearer that it was fake. That, like you say, there wasn't that same effect that if I'd watched it on VHS, I probably would have enjoyed it more, you know, visually kind of thing, than watching it in HD, you know, clear, superimposed graphics style, you know, because there was that blurriness, there was that bleed, and even, like, for me, you know, although I've got X-Files on DVD and that, I've still got the VHSs, and I've still got VHSs of older films and that, because seeing them in that medium, there is something still enjoyable about watching that, you know, the little white bobbly bit along the bottom of the screen, you know, like, and stuff like that.
Well, I miss the little blurriness of TV shows on the VHS. Now, that little slight blurriness to the picture that made it feel like it was like a real hypnotic kind of thing that you didn't realise after a while, but you still loved it.
Yeah.
We've got a question. Last Avenger 5. Malcolm, what are your thoughts on Sting's WWE debut? Last night's Survivor Series. Me, I thought it could have been better. I didn't like his new theme music. I'll be honest, I didn't like his theme music either. I think they should have stuck with what he had.
Can I just quickly disappear while you're saying that? I'll be back in a second.
That's okay.
Sorry. I am still listening.
That's fine. And the whole debut was, you know, people really thought it was going to happen. And for something like Sting, it shouldn't have happened at that time. What they really should have done was they should have made it where people thought it was going to happen that time. And then they should have made it happen a different time. Because the problem is, with the Crow version of Sting, the dark Sting, the lights would go up, boom, he'd turn up completely, and he'd be just dropping someone. There would be no looking, there'd be no talk, it'd be just there in the actions. And that annoys me when they can't give you that. Because I know Sting is like 50 odd years old now, and I do think he's a little bit old now to be resting. He should retire because he's got that legacy iconic character. But we all love. A lot like how Shawn Michaels was iconic. We love Shawn Michaels, but Shawn Michaels stayed a little bit too long, where one, he ended up with a messed up eye, two, he ended up kind of not losing his legacy, but ended up being slightly tainted a little bit until his WrestleMania matches with The Undertaker again, which kind of brought it up again. But Sting needed a better intro, and he needed to do it like quickly, quietly. What they should have is they should have had it begin with the lights off, and the lights come on with him holding Triple H or something, like they did in the thing, and had him drop him and just look at him and then just walk off. That would have been great. And then if the lights went out and he disappeared again, people would have marked out like crazy over that completely. The fact that we already knew that he was signed is what ruined the whole thing. If we'd never known he'd been signed, he'd been kept quiet, he would have been even more of a mark-out moment. You know, I see Paul mark out over it all the time, and thanks, buds. And it never works out, my view, because if people know, they're never going to be as excited as they would be if they didn't know. So basically what I'm saying is the theme tune should have been the same, and they should have had him come, they should have had the lights go off him thinking, holding Triple H, dropping him, and then him just looking at the crowd and looking at Triple H and then disappearing again. That's what they should have done.
You got packages?
Yeah. Notice Dave. Look at this one. Whoa.
Oh wow.
But yeah, so that's my answer to that question.
But touching on, oh sorry, did you want to continue about the VHS? I was just going to kind of lead on from that question really.
No, you can. Oh hello. Oh, this is another one of those bloody. I bloody hate this. Ever since Donna put me on a mortgage, I get all these mortgage letters about, you know, how you can change your mortgage.
Yeah.
But go on, carry on. You say what you're saying while I open the package.
No, I was gonna. like kind of wrapping up with like not wrapping up, but like continuing on with because obviously you got asked about the wrestling and stuff like that, and continuing on from the action, because obviously like with TV shows now, as I said, we've got Edge in Haven. Now, actually, he has surprised me because I didn't know him as a wrestler, but he's actually good at acting. Whereas you found that a lot of wrestlers and, like you were saying with the guy from the Expendables, who's, like a martial arts person and stuff. Yeah. So many of those kind of films, like Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren and Arnie, that was not that they were these martial artists, and we got the wrestlers and stuff like that. And like I say, we touched on it briefly. Hulk Hogan, where I love Suburban Commando. That is one of my favourite movies. And it's interesting to see people, I guess because there is acting involved obviously in wrestling, it's interesting then to see them move on to do acting as a career, and of course sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But do you have a favourite kind of performance, like somebody who's gone on and they've shown that they've shined beyond the wrestling ring?
The thing is, what gets me with this is, and this is a great subject you brought up, I'm as a big wrestling fan, I also like seeing wrestlers in movies. But it's a really weird thing because you watch wrestling and you see them acting. Because they've got to act to become a heel or become a good guy, right?
Yeah.
And all this talk and that, but half of them, when they go into the movie world, they're incredibly awful.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin, for instance. Great in the ring, iconic fan, people love him, people hate him, iconic character, apparently made the Attitude Era what it was and so forth, we all love him, we all respect him to a degree. He was the guy who stuck the fingers up at everybody and drank beer. But you watch him in things like The Stranger or Tactical Unit or whatever it's called, or Maximum Conviction with Steven Seagal, and it's just awful because he can't act, he can't even run. And you just sit there going, wow, this is epically bad.
But then you see the other scale, like The Rock and stuff like that, and it's...
When you watch people like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, right? Yeah. Now, this guy has it all. He was a big, massive footballer, American footballer. He was a big wrestler, and he's a big, massive actor now. Now, this is when you know somebody's got real talent.
Yeah.
I mean, The Rock, to me, is the easiest person to go, oh, look, he's the greatest wrestler / movie person. And I think he is. But I think if you want to get into the nitty and gritty with people, you've got to go to people like Ted DiBiase, who was in The Marine 2. Even though it was a WWE Studios film, and it wasn't that great, it was still a fun movie. Same as Marine 3 with The Miz, except that movie was absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
Then you've got films like, Edge was in Highlander Endgame.
Oh, was he? Oh, I didn't know that.
He played the Faith.
He's really good in Haven. That's why I enjoy him. So.
He played the Faith in it, and this, I think that was back in 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
I think it was. Was it? It was around that time when the movie came out.
It would have been about, yeah.
I haven't really seen Haven yet. I wanted to pick up because I saw them for like $20.
Right, yeah.
Each, but I haven't really seen it yet. But I plan to in the future, very soon.
But he's kind of come a long way. It's like seeing his character. He's been in it for a few years now, and seeing what he was like at the start is so different to how he's kind of grown into the role. If you know what I mean.
Well, this is what I like about Edge because he was forced to retire because of neck injuries.
Yeah.
From wrestling, and you could tell when he talked about when he actually came out how sad he was.
Yeah, because I met him and he mentioned that, and you could see that it was.
You met him?
Yeah.
Well, you're lucky.
But he meant, and you could tell that he was so sad that he'd had to leave that life behind. Although he didn't regret what he's managed to do since. It was
Well, the thing is, what could have happened since is he could have ended up becoming an alcoholic and giving up on everything. But instead, he had a baby with Beth Phoenix, who was a female wrestler. He's doing Haven, and he gets the odd movie role. So good luck to him. He was a very charming guy and a very relaxed guy. And he was a great wrestler. He wasn't the best, but he was great at, being a heel and, peeing people off. So I'm
but then it makes me sad to see people like John Cena and that are just awful when you see him turn up and stuff. You feel so bad. Or, it's like that. I don't know the name of the wrestler's guy that's in the first Spider-Man movie that goes, Sledgehammer's ready,
Oh, Macho Man.
Yeah, all he does is gurn, and that's it. And it's so, painful and awkward to watch, because it is that kind of gurning for the camera.
The problem with Macho Man was he was basically playing himself as Bonesaw.
Right, yeah. Bonesaw. I don't know why I said Sledgehammer, sorry. I know it's Bonesaw, I don't know.
Well, it's similar in a way, I guess. But,
electric tools!
You get what I'm saying? He was playing himself, which was over the top, going like this, oh yeah, I'm the Macho Man, Randy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He died. He had a heart attack behind the wheel and crashed.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah. But yeah, John Cena. John Cena is the cover boy of the WWE.
Yeah.
Everybody hates him, except for kids and people. People can't stand it. I don't know why. I think he's all right. He entertains. He's not Hulk Hogan by any means, but he is to the kids now.
Yeah.
Right? But his acting skills are so stiff.
Yeah.
He looks like a bodybuilder who's been put into a movie. I tell you what it reminds me of Arnold Schwarzenegger in Hercules in New York with his I'm back.
Yeah.
And you can tell
keep it up, cop, that kind of, yeah.
You can tell he's trying.
Yeah.
But he's just not got that likability like someone like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has.
Yeah.
With Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, you could believe he could walk up to someone, punch him in the face, and say something cool.
Yeah.
With John Cena,
if I hadn't known that Dwayne Johnson was a wrestler, I would have just thought he was one of these muscly actors, because he does it so well.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have guessed that he was that before. Whereas you've got people like Hulk Hogan and John Cena and that, or Arnie and stuff, and you're just like, yeah, they're definitely not actors.
The thing is, it's like we said, they're actors when it comes to them being able to be in the ring and being able to talk. But they're not great when it comes to movies. I think it's because there isn't as much freedom.
Yeah.
When you're in wrestling, there is that kind of freedom where you can kind of decide how your character is. I mean,
is that more improvised? Yeah.
Yeah, you can improvise, but in movies, you've got a script and you're told to do that.
Yeah.
And as much as I think, yeah, they can do it, and it's not bad and all this stuff, I think John Cena shouldn't be acting. He was in 12 Rounds, he was in The Marine, he was in Legendary, which was a little bit better.
Oh, what have you seen Fred?
Oh, what one? Fred 1 or Fred 2?
Both of them. They shouldn't exist, but...
There's 3, isn't there, altogether?
Oh, was there 3? I couldn't believe there was 2, but...
See, and that's because he was a YouTube sensation, that boy.
Well, yeah, he was just a YouTuber,
I think he was a YouTube sensation, just some guy like, hello, my name's Fred, Fred.
Yeah, just tweaking the voice octave kind of thing.
To be honest with you, I saw the movie with John Cena in, and he just does sound like Power Slams him or something.
Yeah, he just turns up. It's like it was just a paycheck for him, and I felt so awkward because that is that thing where, like you say, it makes him look wooden But I think that's why, Hulk Hogan works in like Suburban Commander and Mr. Nanny and stuff. Is he's not playing anybody but say himself, kind of. They're not trying to make him this. A lot of action films always end with this sentimental kind of ending, which is really silly considering the testosterone-fueled stuff that's come before it. But they always, but somebody, like Hulk Hogan never pretends to be anybody but just himself, kind of thing. In those movies.
In the Hulk Hogan movies, he was playing Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
You find with wrestlers, they can't play anyone else other than who they are.
And I think that's why with like John Cena, they're expected to be somebody else, and they're just like,
Oh yeah. I paid $30 for these, right? I just looked at the box.
And what's that? DVDs, yeah.
And it says that the postage was $12.78, so that means the person only got about $18.
Oh, yeah.
You take away PayPal and eBay, that's like $13.
That's really. Oh.
For these. That's Anyway,
Nice.
Last Avenger 5 says, what I would have liked to see is have Sting come down from the rafters like he used to do. So, I would have liked to have seen that, but I would have liked the whole fact of incredibly, like, wow, this happened. Because if it just came down from the rafters, people would have seen it. If he just comes to the ring in the darkness and then he's there and he's gone again, it would have been a little bit more powerful because they'd have been like, did we just see that?
Yeah.
You know, like if they'd have gone from the darkness to him giving him the death drop to looking at the crowd and looking at him and then the lights going out and then him disappearing, people would have been like, oh, and they would have been like, well, did we just see that? Because we didn't expect that to happen. If it's coming down from the rafters, that's going to take at least a minute or two.
Yeah.
And then he's got to unhook, and why won't people attack him then? You see what I mean? So, that's why I said about the darkness thing, because it's all about the mistake. It's all about hitting people with what they don't expect. That's why I don't like that Sting was on like the WWE roster reveal of the game. To me, they should never have told anybody. It should have been one of those things that just happens, and it would have been one of the epic moments in sports entertainment if nobody had known. Yeah. It was a wasted opportunity in my view. Yeah. But yeah. So anyway, sorry about that, Tash.
No, it's fine. Because at the end of the day, also I think because obviously you're doing like your WWE and UFC and stuff like on your channel at the moment with the videos and reviews and gameplays and stuff. It's all connected.
Yeah. Well, so where were we?
We were saying about Hulk Hogan playing Hulk Hogan, but John Cena kind of like once they're expected to play somebody else, it's like I don't know what to do.
So Suburban Commando was a great film, and it had The Undertaker in it as well. It's one of the you remember the Hitmen from space?
Yeah.
The assassins that came, the two big blokes.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I always liked to where you're not being fair and all that. That was just so silly.
Yeah, that was so funny when the guy spoke. You know, it was like, oh, no wonder you don't speak. You know.
But it's like Hulk Hogan was Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Through the whole film. Same with Mr. Nanny. Same with.
He was a fish out. It was that classic fish out of water kind of story, wasn't it? It was like.
Now I don't know why they didn't do a Suburban Commando 2. Not if I would have wanted one, but it was a big success in my view.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I know a lot of people don't even know it exists because.
I loved it when he was in that cheesy outfit.
Yeah, I know.
It was so terrible. And the bit when he jumps through the vents when they're trying to kill him, and you're like, in reality, mate, you'd be stuck in that vent, wouldn't you? Yeah. I feel like saying, get the baby oil out. But. I mean, wrestlers in film, in a lot of ways, it doesn't match because a lot of them can't really act properly. I think it's because it's like they actually have to learn to actually do certain things better. Like, there's a difference between wrestling and shouting in the ring to there is acting like you're a tough guy in a film.
Yeah.
You know? You can bring your personality out wise in wrestling, sure, but in a film you have to bring out certain things. Like you can't just go, you've got to go,
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the thing, you know, actors do a lot of research. They meet people, you know, who are similar to what they're playing to get some kind of feel for that thing. And of course, wrestlers don't know anything but doing that kind of whatever they've improvised, you know, whatever they've put the basis on for their character in the ring.
Well, I mean, it's like No Holds Barred, which was a Hulk Hogan film.
Right.
That film was based around the whole Zeus character that happened in 1991 and 1991. And they went against each other, and it happened in the ring in WWE as well.
Yeah.
But there was this great promotion around it because you saw him in the ring, you saw him beating up Hulk Hogan, then you knew the film was coming out, and Hulk Hogan is Hulk Hogan in that movie. Again. But it didn't matter because it was like a wrestling movie.
Yeah.
And that film is one of the greatest films I've ever seen. And why? Because I've got that retro feel for it. It's beautiful, it's amazing, and I watched it as a kid, and I watched it again on DVD, and I watched it on Blu-ray when it came out a few months ago. But
yeah.
It's one of those films, if anyone wanted to watch a wrestling movie, I'd recommend No Holds Barred because Hulk Hogan's pretty good in that.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I've still got Suburban Commando on VHS, and there is something wrong. Again, it's seeing that quality of the video, and it does take you back to watching it when you were younger and stuff.
It does, you know. It's like I was saying earlier about the whole VHSs at the market thing. You know, if I ever go somewhere and I see VHSs on the floor, like a boot sale or something, I don't look at them, but I get that feeling of I miss the days when we had that.
Yeah.
Like we were going to say at one point about rental stores.
Yeah.
There was a time when you go in a rental store and there'd be so many movies there you'd never heard of.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know.
Don't you miss the cardboard cutouts?
I miss the cardboard cutouts that weren't in stores. You still get them in some stores, you know, like really faded.
Yeah.
I remember seeing things like Aladdin and stuff, like Aladdin on the carpet, and you know, you'd get like Kindergarten Cop with Arnold Schwarzenegger with someone on top of him, like, you know.
Have you seen Last Action Hero? I was going to bring it up because it was kind of connected to stuff we were talking about earlier. Was that comedy element? Because that movie is so aware and joking about so many other movies in the genre and stuff, and again, kind of playing on the fact that Arnie is not an actor, and yeah, I enjoy him so much in that movie. And when they go in the movies in the rental store, and you know, obviously he's a different character, but they're like, oh, you're this actor, you're in these movies, and they're taking, you know, the kids taking him down there, and to see them walking around in that, and you're like, can you imagine if he pulled out a Terminator movie or something like that? That would have been, I mean, they did their own version, a spin on it, kind of thing, but.
Well, I mean, I've seen Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
I think it's got one of the greatest villains in it as well.
Oh God, what's his Charles Dance is just amazing.
And I love the relationship with the girl as well, because it's just like it just adds to it.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those films. Again, it's one of those films where not a lot of people seem to watch it, but it's one of those fun films. And whenever I watched it, I always felt like it was like a comic book film. Not because it was based on comic books, but it had that feel to it. We had the action, it had the bits in it where you could imagine it being a comic book strip thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's what I love. You know, it's an action movie, and it was touted. You know, it was this big thing. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie, and you go it, and I think that was kind of. I could be wrong. That might have been the start more of his leaning towards like Jingle All the Way and Kindergarten Cop and stuff like that. I could be wrong, but it was nice to see him in a way doing something separate to, you know, Terminator, Command, you know, all those Total Recall and Predator and stuff. It was something so different to that. It was nice to see him in a different, very different, and being slightly light-hearted and that. And like I say, being self-aware, that idea that he's this character in a movie and he's not aware of it until this kid is like, no, you're not real, you know.
This is the thing. I always thought, to me, Jingle All the Way is one of his best films.
Yeah. Which again shows a development from not an actor to what he could be.
That's it. Going from not being an actor to being this big, massive action star, to being able to be in something so cheesy but such a happy kids film is incredible. Jingle All the Way is to me one of the most amazing films I've ever seen. So those films that I can watch all the time. And that stars the wrestler in it as well. It stars the Big Show, aka Paul Wright, in it as a giant Santa Claus. Yeah. Just thought I'd add that in there. Well, I thought, hey, there we go. It's still in the same genre.
See, connected, yeah.
Like Predator. Predator starred Jesse the Boy Ventura, who was a wrestler.
Oh, yeah. Well, Jesse Ventura, of course, made a cameo in The X-Files.
There you go. You see?
Yeah.
And then he was the governor, weren't he? Of where was he the governor of? Because I can't remember. I know he was the governor. I think he was governor of California, I think.
Oh, Arnie is? Yeah.
No, Jesse the Boy Ventura.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm sure it was the governor of somewhere. I think it was California.
I knew Arnie's the governor or whatever of California, but...
He probably was somewhere else then, but Jesse the Boy Ventura was.
Well, he might have used to be, yeah. Whatever.
I don't really follow, to be honest with you, I don't really follow them when they go into politics because I don't really have any care for it, you know, but I'm just saying, I think he was, because I know he was a governor or something. But it's amazing how many of these things pop up. I mean, the story between Arnie and the son in Jingle All the Way is such a beautiful story, especially at the end where he says to his dad, I don't need one because my dad is the real thing.
Yeah.
That made, when I first saw that, I cried.
That is so, yeah, exactly.
Because I always wished I could have done that with my dad. So I always cry when I think about that because it's such a touching moment. But I watch it because he goes from like being the overworked father to not having any time for his family to then on his day off taking this time to try and get this one item.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
And he gets it, he's like, Jamie, and all that. Yeah. And then he goes, I don't want it because I've got the real thing. And it's not one of those things where as a dad he goes, oh, fuck. And he goes,
yeah.
Jamie, and basically hugs him. It's just such a beautiful film. You know.
But then it makes me sad to see him turn up in like we said earlier, he turns up in something like The Expendables just for a paycheck and just goes and spouts his lines like I'll be back and that, and you can see he totally doesn't care as long as he gets and that makes me sad because we know he can do much better, much like Bruce Willis in a way. But yeah.
You want to talk about The Expendables? So I hate The Expendables, not because it's a bad film, but because they don't focus on the right stars. When it was first introduced, it was supposed to be 80s action stars. Right? Well, Jason Statham wasn't an 80s action star, yet he's one of the top billing characters.
Jet Li wasn't. The big deal was made about Jet Li being in the movies, and he wasn't an 80s.
He was, technically.
Oh, well, I apologise then. Was he?
Technically in China in martial arts films from 1984.
Oh, I apologise. I did not know because I don't know those movies.
Yeah, you'd be sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no.
Have you seen any of them? Are they any good? Because you like your martial arts movies. Are they any good?
Joking.
Have you seen any of his kind of those?
I've seen every single movie.
Oh, really? Are they good?
Jet Li, to me, is better than Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
They're extremely good. At one point, I owned every single one of them. At the moment, I don't because I moved. So.
I love Jet Li in Lethal Weapon 4. He was badass in that.
See, that's one of the things what I get annoyed with. Not you, but with people. Because you like him in Lethal Weapon 4, but you haven't seen any of his Asian films, have you?
No, exactly. And that's, Yeah.
This is not with you, because you're not saying you're his big fan.
No.
It brings up that whole thing about people that are like, oh, I'm a big fan of Jet Li. So where do you watch him in? I watched him in Lethal Weapon 4. I watched him in Right Must Die. I watched him
the balls.
But I liked him in Lethal Weapon 4, but before he came in Lethal Weapon 4, I'd seen him in Shaolin Temple.
Ah, right, yeah.
Which was one of his first films.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because what happened was, he was part of a Shaolin monastery. Yeah. And he'd go do, do the event things like they did. And like one show kind of thing on the stage with the weapons and stuff. And he got noticed, and they said, we want to put you in movies. And he said, and basically they let him. But then he became the big star he is today.
See, I didn't even know him. I knew he was a big name, but I didn't really know him. Like, a big deal was made out of it when he was going to turn up in Lethal Weapon 4, and I was like, I know the name, but I don't know him from anything.
Exactly. But yeah, it's great. I love Jet Li as much as I love Jackie Chan. Jet Li's my favourite out of the both. I'd put Bruce Lee probably at number 5 on my list, not because I don't respect what he did, but because he didn't do that much. When it came
that's
to
the thing. Yeah.
I respect him more as a martial artist than I do as a movie star.
Yeah.
If I put him on a martial artist, their movie star, I'd put him at number 2, probably to Jackie Chan. Because Jackie Chan has been around so much longer. You could say Bruce Lee created the whole martial arts in America, and he did.
Yeah.
Even though Jimmy Wang Yang also came to America at the same time, he was in One Arm Boxer 2, One Arm Swordsman. He came at the same time, and his movie flopped. But Bruce Lee's...
What about like Chow Yun-Fat and that from like Bulletproof Monk and stuff?
Chow Yun-Fat, he was a massive, massive action star in Hong Kong through John Woo.
Yeah. I knew he'd been in John Woo films, but I didn't know.
And he was in a lot of romantic comedies as well as a lot of like gangster movies. And before he came over, I think the first one we did in America was The Corruptor.
Sorry.
Yeah. And The King and I with Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
And basically, he was a bigger star there. And if you look at their filmographies, archives, you'll see that every single one of them, after being in America for what, have gone back to Asia because they're bigger then, they get paid more.
Yeah, and they're more recognised and probably more appreciated or something, you know.
They are. You know, like, the problem with Asian actors in America is they seem to get sidelined to people who are big American stars. Like, for instance, Romeo Must Die. It was a liar, right?
Yeah.
He was great.
They end up being these, like, you know, like Yukazi kind of Chinatown kind of stereotypes.
Yeah, like The Corruptor. It was Mark Wahlberg. Crow to a Grave. It was DMX.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Jackie Chan, Rush Hour. Chris Tucker. Shanghai Noon. Owen Wilson. You know, there's always a big American actor in there with them.
Yeah.
You know,
it's kind of like we said, like with women, you know, there's always some male actor, you know, kind of, that I'm just bringing that as a side bit, is there is somebody, always this big name to kind of support them, you know, kind of thing.
You're right. You're exactly right. I mean, what's this? What I miss about, here we go. What I miss about VHS is the artwork of the cover. They don't mean effort on the covers for Blu-ray, DVD these days. Well, do you know what? I agree, but at the same time I don't. I agree with VHS covers.
About steelbooks, didn't we? You know. Sorry.
I agree with Last Avenger, and I agree with Tash that the VHSs had better covers. You look at the Highlander cover, which was animated. He had a sword, and it was all this electric, and he was like this. Amazing, right? And but they're slowly starting to do really nice covers for Blu-rays. Slowly.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of some covers. I've been seeing some lately.
Every now and then they turn up quite basic. It's like the Woman in Black one. It's Daniel Radcliffe's face and just the title, and it's like, okay, you know. But like you said, the thing is a lot of the old. But even then, a lot of the because of Photoshop and that there now, it's all just, you know, like everything's Photoshop kind of thing. Whereas back in the day, we had the artists that would do those drawn pictures. And, you know, you think of the Indiana Joneses, you know, all that stuff, and there was that element of, you know.
Well,
I agree with you about that they're getting better with on Blu-rays, but
Ammo Video and Shout Factory, they do some kind of animated covers. They're not the best covers, but at least they try and do them a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. If I had one for Addy, I'd show you, but I've got Ginger Snaps. Not. Oh, is that one without? You know, stuff like this.
The case like on that.
You know, stuff like that. It's not the best, but they do some stuff similar.
But again, that's very basic, and that is a problem with a lot of even. I mean, like even DVDs. I mean, like Saving Mr. Banks. I got given on DVD. I mean, even the film poster for this, it's just Tom Hanks and Emma Thompson stood there with, you know, on a white background, completely blank background with the title next to them. It's like, wow, that's really boring.
Well,
and that's all it tends to be now.
Well, it just has some walking, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah.
I agree, Malcolm. Our video covers look pretty good. Well, you know, I mean, they're not the best, but they are okay. And this is the thing, like you said, Tash, you know, you get quite fed up with it because why would you want to say, it's like this, for instance. Let's say, for instance, this, right? This is a cover, right?
Yeah.
Why would I want to see a guy who also has got constipation?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? I want to
it doesn't really tell you anything about the movie or that.
I'd rather see a cover like that when it comes to something like this because you know what's happening.
Yeah.
But something like this, even though it's a submission thing and it's a bit obvious what's happening, I'd like a better cover, for instance. You get what I mean?
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, a good cover that came recently was this one, I think. That's quite a good cover.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Enough of that, though. But you get what I'm saying, though, didn't you? So,
yeah, but, you know, I don't have any movie DVDs to hand, but I completely, you know, to give an example, but exactly.
I've worked out an awkward silence in there because my phone went dead for a second.
It was like, what were we talking about before the? But you were talking about the I can't remember what.
But, yeah, you know, that's what happens when you have such great conversation. You go through so much, and you're like, "What did I just say? What did I just say?"
We were talking about Asian actors and that, and I was going to quickly say about that was the thing, like, because you said Rush Hour and you know, Chris Tucker with because I said about how it's exactly the same with like women, because then you'll have a big name guy to like, you know, it's even say like Silence of the Lambs, you have Jodie Foster, but you've got Anthony Hopkins and stuff like that. It's still then, although it should, you know, we really struggle now. It seems sad because, you know, we have these strong female characters in like the geeky world, like Sigourney Weaver's Ripley and stuff like that. But although they are seen as these heroines, you always seem to find that there's these big male characters to like go beside them, kind of thing.
Well,
but what in the same way, like, sorry, you were going to say?
I was going to say, and they get sidelined pretty easily.
Yeah, but in the same way, like with the Asian, you know, like people being sidelined and stereotyped. That's why I love Bad Boys, because it's very rare to see like a two lead black you know, like film kind of thing, where they're not like in a gang or some kind of. They were strong, positive black characters, and they were the two leads. It wasn't like one black guy, one white guy, if you know what I mean. It was.
Well, the best thing about it as well is they both kind of come from the same background.
Yeah.
In the fact that they both started off with comedy shows.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they both went into doing their own movies, then ended up in Bad Boys together. And I think that's what kind of made them so good together, was the fact that technically they were the same kind of story in their career.
But it's interesting, that movie, much like we were saying with The Wrestlers, is although they're comedians, I love that movie so much because they've got that wit and that bouncing off each other, but the action in that movie is amazing.
It is. And I do love the main villain in it too.
Yeah.
He was in Kiss of the Dragon with Jet Li as well, and it was so great. His name was Richard in it. It was awesome.
Oh, really? Yeah.
He says something like, "You want to play?" Oh, and it's in a French accent kind of thing. You're just like, I'm going to rewind this 10 more times. The bit though when they're chasing him and they're like, "Don't hit it, don't hit the wall," and it's like that tight, and you're like, and it's chasing and he hits it and they go straight past him. It's amazing. That's a real action sequence without CGI in it.
Yeah.
You know. The whole thing, like when Will Smith's running after the car and everything, it's just amazingly well done. It's because it's filmed the right way. It's filmed in such a way that it actually makes them look a lot better than they probably would be if it had been filmed in a terrible way, like with CGI.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, a lot of that still feels natural. I mean, there is some CGI in that movie, but still a lot of it is practical special effects and stuff like that, you know. But and I love, again, as I said, that is one of those movies that has got a brilliant sequel that doesn't feel like the same old kind of thing.
Yeah, they're making a third one.
Oh, really? That doesn't surprise. That kind of makes me sad, but doesn't surprise me.
Well, it makes me sad a bit because I feel like they're getting a bit old now.
Yeah. It's like, you know, because we're in a world now with so many reboots and remakes and stuff. But then as well, we end up with these sequels that happen like 10 years or 20 years after the previous movie came out.
What about bloody Beverly Hills Cop? They're doing a fourth one with Eddie Murphy. He doesn't even look like the same guy anymore.
No, there are so few ideas in Hollywood at the moment, but...
I mean, we'll have to get onto this in another chat.
Yeah,
we've got about 13 minutes left. But the new Star Wars film, right?
Yeah.
I have so much mixed feelings about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what everybody else is saying. Oh, it's going to be crap. Oh, it's going to be epic. Donna's more interested in it than I am. I like Star Wars, but I'm also the biggest fan of Star Wars.
Right.
It's one of those films that I really enjoy. I say one of those 6 films I really enjoy. Right. But I think the time for Star Wars is gone.
Yeah.
Star Wars did it great in the 70s. It had a massive fan base. It was incredible.
Yeah.
When it came out again, when they made the next 3,
it still didn't work as well.
It still had that hardcore fan base, you know, the way to see it. And they were like, wow, amazing, amazing. But the films never hit the high that the original ones did.
From the original, yeah.
Now, growing up with the next three, I enjoyed them a lot more than the original three. Not because I found them better, but because
you were growing up with them, kind of thing. Yeah.
But I do love the 70s ones in a different way.
Yeah.
And if I had to compare them as greatness, I would say the original ones were better. But for me, because I grew up with them ones, to me they're better in the fact that I watched them, I grew up with these characters.
Yeah.
I just think that certain things are dead and they should leave it alone.
Yeah.
Star Trek is an example of something that isn't, because it's been going on through the years.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
Show, then you had the other shows, you had the movies, and the movies kept going a lot. And then you had Nemesis with Tom Hardy playing a younger version of Patrick Stewart. That was what, in 2004?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So the films never really stopped going, as Star Wars had.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm saying. So
yeah, no, completely. Yeah.
In the new Star Trek movies, feels like a continuation. The new Star Wars, depending on what happens in it, won't feel like it is. Plus, where can they really go with it? You know.
Well, you've got all these people, much like, say, kind of connecting it to the Expendables. You've got, these 70-year-old people, that we've known from when they were younger, just turning up as these old characters,
Well, this is the thing. Going like what you said. I have a problem with the fact that Chuck Norris and that are like 70 years old in it. I love Chuck Norris, and sadly we didn't mention much of his movies, but we can another day.
Yeah.
And
we mentioned him briefly.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger and all that, and it's great. But the problem is they need to move aside and let the next generation do what they need to do. Thus, I say people like Scott Adkins need to be respected more and give him more time, because he can really move. He's not having a stunt double and stuff for things like kicks. I'm sure he does for like stunts, because I'm sure anyone with any sense would.
Yeah.
And something I didn't bring up earlier, which I forgot, was they're approaching Tom Cruise to be in Highlander, the remake, as I think Christopher Lambert. I think.
Oh my god.
I totally disagree with that. I think that's a terrible idea, and I think, why can't we just get someone who's Scottish?
Yes. For goodness sakes. We've got, these people like, James McAvoy and stuff like that could be more than capable of doing it,
Why not give us somebody, why not make someone who's maybe even still in Scotland doing movies a chance to really shine?
My God, even David Tennant could do it. Just some Scottish there's plenty of very good... I'm just joking with the David Tennant, but what I'm saying is there are plenty of strong Scottish actors, like James McAvoy and that could do it.
I keep thinking now, don't tell Money Man with Soul going, there can only be one, right? And then the song
that's on the screwdriver.
And then walking down the road, and the song playing about Doctor Who, hey, Doctor Who. It's like, no. But that's the thing. He could, because if they gave him the beard and all this, and they made him a little bit different, he could definitely play that role.
Yeah.
You need a Scottish person to be a Scottish character. I get tired of these fake accents.
I get tired, it's...
It just ruins the films. But yeah, they're in talks with him about it. They want him to do it, and they're going to pay him something like 60 million or something to be in the role. I wish someone would pay me 6 million to go to the toilet, because that's basically what he's going to be doing.
That's essentially what he's going to be. I'd be happy if somebody paid me £6 just to go to, just...
Yeah, exactly. It's just incredibly stupid how America is, or any film maker.
It fascinates me how bad that Tom Cruise has become renowned, amongst movie makers and stuff, just because of his attitude and stuff. That then they want to keep adding in, because was it Warner Brothers or whoever it is that makes the Mission Impossible movies? They dumped him because they'd had enough with him or something.
It was Paramount.
Oh, Paramount, that's it. Yeah.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's Paramount. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Paramount. Yeah.
Yeah, they dumped him because of the whole Scientology thing, didn't they?
Yeah, Yeah, it was because of that. Because he was getting out of control with it. Because he was, manipulating stuff and that.
What gets me is, is apparently one of in the top 5 richest actors of all time. And you're sitting there going, why? I can understand he's got charisma, I can understand he's good and everything, but he's no better than a lot of people.
No, like I say, I do enjoy the Mission Impossible movies. They're good actions. They're good action movies. I really enjoyed Free, and I really enjoyed Ghost Protocol. I like those two more than the other ones, but I do enjoy, the first one was very setting up the character, I mean, considering it was rebooting a 30-year-old TV show, I was kind of dreading it, and I love the original Mission Impossible, so, this is something, we can bring up another time or not, because I know time's running short, but, that was one of those reboots that actually worked and surprised me because like I say, I loved and I was dreading this movie, but the first one was very much setting up it made me sad when they felt the need to continue with that series because I felt like the first movie was quite insular and would have worked as just its own action movie. But like I say, 2 is campy and I'm not as big a fan of it. But Free and Ghost Protocol I genuinely enjoyed.
Number 2 is awesome.
I know you really like that one. But I will say that the cliff and the bike going off and stuff is pretty.
Yeah, that is great. I've got to admit though, I agree with you to a big extent. I saw number 5 in the cinema.
Right, yeah.
Is it number 5 or is it number 4?
I think it's 4, because Ghost Protocol I think it's number 4, isn't it?
If it's in the 5th one yet, is there?
I think a 5th one's being made. I could be wrong.
So, I've gone brain dead again. Mission Impossible 1 was fantastic. It had that kind of secret agent feel to it. You've got all these people that turned out of nowhere, kidnapped him, took him in there, and I love the way he talks with Max, like, oh, hello, Max, and all this. And even though he's tied up, he's got this charismatic feeling that he's going to be okay.
Yeah, Mission Impossible 5 is being filmed at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for clearing that up for me, because I was like, I'm sure I saw number 5, but it was number 4. So, number 2, I had that on VHS, and I absolutely love that movie, probably because it's a John Woo movie.
Yeah.
And I love the dove scenes. In every John Woo movie, there's a dove scene.
You have that slow-motion doves flying off.
And the whole thing, but he takes the face off as he runs, is awesome as well. And that is action-packed. But again, Mission Impossible 2 is a lot like a video game film.
Yes, it is.
Number 3, I thought was great because they went back to the whole team thing again.
Oh, the torture scenes in that as well were kind of like, much like Casino Royale. They were a bit,
I thought number 3 was the darkest out of all of them, though, with Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman was blinking an amazing baddie,
It was awesome. It was like it completely turned it on, and it was like it was the most sadistic, twisted,
Yeah. It was like terrifying.
Yeah. And then you had Ghost Protocol, which I saw in the cinema with my cousin. And he took me to the IMAX to see it on my birthday. And I'd love to say that I noticed the film a lot, but I didn't. I noticed the girl next to me giving her boyfriend a blowjob, which, to be honest with you, wasn't very nice.
That would put you off going
doing it right beside me. It's like, yeah, thanks a lot, So I'm sitting there watching the film, and all I keep going is like,
okay then.
And he lasted a pretty long time, so that made it even worse.
Oh really? Oh god! You sat there timing him, going, "Wow, that's staying power."
At one point, I felt like just grabbing hold of him and just going, "Faster, love, faster," just so you get. Yeah. But I remember the film from what I remember because I watched it again on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed it. I loved the bit where they're running through the sandstorm. Yeah. And the bit when he's on the building, swinging round it, and he almost falls with the thing and everything.
Yeah.
It's such a great film, and Jeremy Renner was awesome in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people.
I really enjoyed his character. Yeah.
And I liked how they connected it to the third one by him watching her as well from a distance.
Yes. Yeah, I felt like there was that connection, and it was nice that she hadn't just been dumped kind of thing. you know, even though the actress didn't want to be in it, kind of thing or whatever, it was like it felt like there was some kind of continuation from after the effects of what happened in the third one, kind of thing.
I'll be honest, I'm not very keen on Simon Pegg though. And
No, I don't enjoy him as that kind of computer. I find him distracting.
because as much as people love him in it, I just can't relate to him being in it. I just don't see him. It's like he's bringing comedy to it when it shouldn't have that certain kind of comedy in it.
Yeah. Did you read out Caped Brit's comment? Another recommendation is Jackie Chan's City Hunter.
Yeah, I read that earlier. Remember
you did. Sorry. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. About the Bruce Lee fight?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to. It's because there's a lot of. We've had a lot of comments and a lot of good questions. So.
I think we've been quite lucky. We've had a lot of comments and questions today.
Yeah.
It's easy to kind of mistake, especially when they're on this one, you can star them, so it doesn't.
Yeah.
But when they're
you can see when there's new stuff. Yeah.
When it's on YouTube, it can be quite hard to remember sometimes because I've made those mistakes very easily.
Yeah. So apologies to anybody we've either missed stuff or.
Well,
but yeah, no, yeah, I did like that connection kind of thing. So.
Yeah, well, I liked it because it felt like continuation.
But Jeremy Renner really surprised me because I was just like, because I knew him as Hawkeye in Avengers and stuff, and I hadn't really seen him in much else. I've never gotten around to watching Hansel and Gretel and stuff, so all I knew was that he looks like Jeremy Kyle. So
Jeremy Renner, Jeremy Kyle, could they be twins?
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be great if they were, wouldn't it? Can you imagine that?
It's just annoying now. Whenever I see him in stuff, I'm just like, he totally looks like Jeremy Kyle.
This is the question. We think. This is my screen. You three can go, Jeremy Kyle.
I'm just waiting for him to go to everybody. You're scum. You're scum. You're scum.
Get a job.
Yeah.
Get off your lazy ass and get a job.
Can you imagine? That would be an awesome action film. We're talking about action films, and can you imagine Jeremy Kyle versus the world?
I can see it now. Jeremy Kyle going into me. Stop making these drugs and get a real job.
You're not the father, you.
And beating them up and driving them to the job centre.
It could be. You could have a decent martial arts movie. Jeremy Kyle versus Jerry Springer or something.
Oh, talk about Jerry Springer. Talk about totally ruined show.
Yeah, I've not seen it recently. Is it really bad?
It's even worse than it was when I was a kid. I mean, it was
Is
bad.
it like watching bad wrestling? Is it like watching TNA or something?
Oh, yes. It's like this. This was like, oh, beep, 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 oh, beep, 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 beep. All the tops come off, oh, beep, 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 the bars off, oh, now there's, Mosiak over.
It's essentially just acted out,
Yeah, it is. I remember a friend of mine online told me that somebody he knew got hired to be on the show because it's just entertainment.
Yeah.
It's same as Maury. When I was a kid, I loved Maury because there was a gay bloke on there when he came out to talk to his mum in a dress.
Yeah.
And he said to his mum, "I'm gay, mum. Am I going to the prom?" And it was a real moment. It was a real beautiful moment, you know. Yeah. Like he struggled, but he was in that dress and he wanted to show her who he was. It was lovely.
Yeah.
It was lovely, you know, and it was brave.
Yeah.
When I've up on Maury, you've got these people from the get going, I'm going to take you apart. You're not my N anymore. You gave us all chlamydia, or all my sisters have had your baby, and you're like.
Yeah, I used to like Maury, and like you say, I've flicked through the channels and it's come up Maury, and I'm just like, what? I thought it looks like more like you say, Jerry Springer or something like that.
It does. Well, I guess we better end the chat in a minute.
Yeah.
Because
this has been a really fun talk.
Did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah.
You're going to be back again next week?
Oh, I don't know. It's just.
I don't know. That's nothing without you, Tash.
You're the host. You carry it. I'm just here to provide. I'm just here to provide more awesomeness. That's what
there you go. Without your awesomeness, there'd be nothing to talk about. You see. So, okay, guys. So as I normally say, when the chat is over, there will be a link down below. So if you want to subscribe to Tash, aka Sketchney, it will be down there. I suggest you do because Tash has great videos, reviews, a review a day. A movie a day, sorry.
Movie night, yeah. Taking a break at the moment because of feeling down.
How many times do I have to get this wrong? A movie a night.
Yeah.
So please subscribe to Tash because, you know, it's good to subscribe, and please subscribe to me if you haven't.
Yeah, please subscribe to Malcolm, yeah.
And please join us next week at the same time. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. Tash, would you like to say something?
No, thank you guys for all your great questions, and looking forward to next week where we'll probably cover another different subject or something. So.
Okay. Thanks, guys, for watching, and take care. And let us know what you think about what we spoke about if you're watching this not live.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.